Chapter 677. Thou Lord Fengshi, I'll leave Zhan Wu to you. I'll go kill Sword Ancestor. Seeing that Miao Xin was supporting the Sword Ancestor and entering the small world, the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, was anxious and angry. He shook off the aggressive Zhan Wu and shouted towards his back. He immediately withdrew from the chaotic battle and turned his spearhead to attack the small world seal formation. Although Zhan Wu and the rest were all powerful, their numbers were not as many as the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign's side. The battle was in a stalemate with both sides winning and losing. Zhan Wu wanted to go back and stop the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign, but he was stopped by Tao Lord Fengshi. Are you still unwilling to give up? Zhan Wu gasped for breath as he stared at the person in front of him and said while gritting his teeth, "If you leave now and hand the Sword Ancestor over to us, we will naturally stop." The man called Tao Lord Fengshi snorted expressionlessly. "Don't even think about it." Zhan Wu bellowed and attacked again. Everyone was in a mess. However, Zhan Wu was worried about the Sword Ancestor and wanted to retreat into the Sword World, but there was nothing he could do. Although Tao Lord Fengshi was not as strong as him, it was extremely easy for him to hold him back. Seeing this, the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, naturally would not let go of this good opportunity. He pushed his speed to the limit and rushed straight into the small world. Like a beam of light, he attacked in the blink of an eye. But just as he was about to approach the small world, Su Yun rushed out again and stopped him. "Don't think that you can contend against me just because you killed the devouring spirit. In the end, you are just a 5th stage sky spirit master existence. And me, this is not the spirit devouring technique." The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, did not put Su Yun in his eyes at all. When he appeared in front of him, the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign's body immediately erupted with a terrifying light beam. Dong! This beam of light covered an area of 1,000 miles. Even the Fighting Supreme Expert-S were affected, let alone Su Yun, who was unable to dodge it all. Even though Su Yun's reaction was extremely fast and activated the Imperial equipment to block, he was still blasted away by the beam of light and fell to the ground. The spirit devouring underestimated the enemy and is not good at fighting, which is why you have the chance to take advantage of it. Don't think that just because you are at the 5th stage of the Sky Spirit Master, you can fight against the Spirit Emperor. An ant can really bite an elephant to death. As soon as he finished speaking, he charged forward. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, naturally did not pay attention to the fight between the Spirit Devouring and Su Yun. He was still fighting to the death with Zhan Wu. How could he be distracted? However, he clearly saw the scene of Su Yun slaying the devouring spirit. Although he was surprised in his heart, he was still disdainful. In his opinion, for Su Yun to be able to kill the spirit-devouring beast, it must be because of Sword Ancestor and Miao Xin-Ru's help. Otherwise, how could a mere 5th stage Sky Spirit Master cultivator kill the spirit-devouring beast? In the life of the devouring spirit, it was unknown how many 7th and 8th grade trash it had crushed to death. Such a strange story. It was likely that no one would dare to believe it. At this moment, a strange sound suddenly rang out. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign's eyes became serious, only to see that Su Yun, who had fallen to the ground, had suddenly disappeared. So fast, he raised his eyes and looked into the distance, only to see that the person who had disappeared reappeared in the distance. He seemed to have deliberately distanced himself as he formed a sword art with one hand. A large number of flying swords flew out from the sword sheath behind him, transforming into a sword dragon that attacked the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign. Limitless sword art? Although the limitless sword art is the supreme sword technique, it still depends on who is using it. In my eyes, the sword technique used by a lowly existence like you is nothing more than a show of skill in front of an expert, not even worth mentioning. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, snorted, raised his hand, and clenched his fist towards the incoming sword dragon transformation. Break! The air trembled, and a ripple spread out, directly shattering the sword dragon. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, was more than half as strong as the spirit-devouring beast, so he was not easy to deal with. However, It was obvious that Su Yun did not plan to defeat the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign. He was only relying on his speed to quickly increase the distance between them and continuously using the Imperial Sword technique to harass the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign. His goal was only to prevent the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign from entering the small world. After breaking through Su Yun's numerous sword attacks, the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign clearly sensed Su Yun's goal, and his face immediately revealed anger. With a wave of his hand, a circle of golden light floated around his wrist and then quickly spread to his 5 fingers. When the golden light faded, a golden glove covered his palm. The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign grabbed at the air towards Su Yun. "I'll let you escape." With an explosive shout, the golden glove split into a shadow and rushed towards Su Yun, directly pressing down on his shoulder and grabbing him. "Humph! Go to hell." The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign did not hold back at all. As he grabbed Su Yun, he brandished his huge fist and activated all of his profound strength, directly smashing towards Su Yun's heart. If it hit, Su Yun would definitely die. However, just as the fist was about to approach Su Yun, several rays of light exploded from his body. Clang! The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign felt as if his fist had smashed into something, as if it was Su Yun's protective magic treasure. After the magic treasure had neutralized most of the destructive force, it fiercely smashed into his heart. Su Yun's chest immediately caved in. He spat out blood and was sent flying, falling to the ground. But at the same time, the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign also felt as if his chest had suffered a heavy blow. The flesh on his chest immediately split open, and he spat out a mouthful of hot blood as he fell backwards. "What's going on?" The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign forcefully supported his consciousness and looked in shock at Su Yun, who was also crawling up with difficulty. He lowered his head to look at the wound on his chest, his eyes filled with shock. How could Su Yun be able to cause this attack? Actually, he did not know that the moment he attacked Su Yun had activated 3 mental cultivation arts. First, 7th tier Imperial equipment. Second, Sprite's Shadow skill, reverse yin-yang dragon art. 3. Monarch occult force, profound chi change into true divine spirit chi. 3 streams of chi were released. Su Yun's defense reached its peak. At the same time, the reverse yin-yang dragon art was activated, causing the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign to suffer the consequences of his actions. In such a short period of time, he had activated 3 profound techniques in a row, and the profound chi had to quickly circulate in his body 3 times. The difficulty of this period of time could be imagined. If it was a normal person, forget about being able to do it. They might not even be able to stabilize their own profound chi, causing the profound chi in their body to clash, causing the chi meridian to shatter and be severely injured. Su Yun stood up with difficulty and coughed a few times. He felt as if his chest had shattered into pieces, but he did not feel any pain. He only felt a little powerless. Other than this time, he did not feel any discomfort. The Wanhua seed in his body had already started to repair his body with all its might, and Su Yun's broken chest was slowly healing as well. Although the healing speed was still very slow, in the time it took for him to stand up, it had already stopped bleeding. As for the Chi Meridian, it was not injured at all. The moment he was attacked, Su Yun stopped activating his Chi, causing the Chi Meridian to shrink to its smallest size to avoid being injured. If an ordinary person were to withstand this attack, their chest would definitely be pierced through, their heart would shatter, and their Chi Meridian would be broken. Even if they did not die, they would be severely injured. But seeing that Su Yun still had the strength to stand up, it meant that his strength was definitely not at the 5th stage of the Sky Spirit Master. This child was extraordinary. The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign immediately came to this conclusion in his heart, and no longer dared to underestimate him. It was just that, if he could not quickly finish off Su Yun, it would definitely not be a good thing for the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign. The person he truly wanted to deal with was the sword ancestor who had escaped into the small world. Thinking of this, killing intent surfaced in the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign's eyes. He no longer held back and immediately attacked, ruthlessly. He closed his eyes and formed a seal with one hand. His other hand turned into a palm and covered his chest, as if he was activating some incredible spell. Seeing that, Su Yun immediately rushed forward. Like a fierce tiger, he sped forward. Thump! Suddenly, the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign opened his eyes. With a loud shout, he waved his hand that was covering his chest to the side. A ray of light shot out from his palm and shot towards a corpse on the ground. That corpse was the headless corpse of the spirit-devouring beast. The light entered the corpse, causing it to twitch a few times. Then, it suddenly came to life and rushed towards Su Yun fiercely. Su Yun was startled. The hands of the spirit-devouring beast that was missing its head flickered with light. The profound chi erupted from its entire body, and without caring about anything else, it activated the profound skill towards Su Yun. The brutal and fast profound strength wrapped around Su Yun with the power to swallow the world. At the same time, the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign also rushed over. The two supreme experts attacking from the left and right. At this moment, the aura of the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign had become much weaker, as if he had lost something in his body in an instant. It was his soul. Su Yun was keenly aware of this change. The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign split a portion of his soul and charged into the corpse of the spirit-devouring beast to control it. Although the spirit-devouring beast was dead, his body still contained a strong power that could be used. The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign used the power of the spirit-devouring beast to kill Su Yun, so he did not lose much of his own cultivation. When he entered the small world later, he would have enough strength to deal with Sword Ancestor. This kind of divine art was not something that an ordinary person could use. It was truly extraordinary. Although Su Yun's cultivation had increased greatly, he was not arrogant to the point where he could fight against the two rankers head-on. He immediately retreated with his sword in hand. You still want to escape? The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign suddenly used the profound technique again. He opened his mouth and spat at Su Yun. A ray of golden light shot out like lightning. The air flickered a few times and instantly appeared beside Su Yun, then exploded, transforming into a 10-meter diameter golden cage, completely trapping Su Yun inside. The spirit-devouring corpse immediately reacted. The profound strength in his broken chest exploded, and then quickly gathered together, transforming into an incomparably large void spirit rhinoceros. Following the activation of the spirit-devouring beast, the rhinoceros horn faced Su Yun and ran in the air, rushing towards him. The rhinoceros stepped on the air, causing the sky to tremble and the void to tremble. Its vast aura was unparalleled in the world, and no one could compare to it. Su Yun wanted to move, but he could not. Compared to the spirit-devouring beast, the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign's methods were clearly much more brilliant. He did not compete with Su Yun in speed. He only competed with Su Yun in terms of cultivation, the strength of the profound strength, and the brilliance of the profound skill. As long as he could trap Su Yun, so what if he was fast? Su Yun planned to make use of his strengths and avoid his weaknesses, but the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign would not let him succeed. Today, I will let you understand that a true supreme expert cannot be provoked. The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign shouted coldly. The rhinoceros arrived in the blink of an eye. The destructive power released by the horns seemed to be able to pierce through everything. Su Yun did not doubt the destructive power of this attack in the slightest. As long as he touched even the slightest bit of it, his body would immediately shatter into pieces, and he would undoubtedly die. He could not hesitate any longer. Su Yun took a deep breath. He reached into the space bag and took out the Bodhi origin leaf that the Master Subhoodie had given him. Chapter 678. The origin leaf appeared, and the emerald green light spread out in all directions. Su Yun held onto the origin leaf and injected the profound chi into the origin leaf. In an instant, the Bodhi origin leaf disappeared without a trace from his palm. Su Yun stared at his palm and no longer looked at the incoming rhinoceros. At that moment, he felt his heart was strangely calm, as if the entire world was about to stop. Faintly, he seemed to see the Master Subhoodie appear in front of him. The Master looked at him with a kind smile on his face. No danger, no nervousness, no coercion. There was no worry, Master. Suyin called out. The Master nodded his head. Are you still fighting for your morals, for the people you want to protect? Yes, sir. Suyin nodded. How powerful is your opponent? You're not his match. If this continues, you will only die. Even if I die, I will not hesitate. In this life, there are too few things that a person can have. If I lose one, there will be no more, and all we can do is to do our best to protect them. I, Suyin, am not a gentleman, but I still hope that I can have a clear conscience and never regret it. He said in a low voice. It was not a sonorous speech, but it represented what he was thinking at the moment. But right now, the opponent's strength is not something that you and I can fight against. Your strength is not enough, so give up. Run first, I can help you stall the opponent. Master Subhoodie said again. Hearing that, Suyin shook his head lightly. Master, it's still too early to say all this. I haven't lost yet. If there's nothing you can do, please withdraw your spell and let me fight with him. So you're not willing to leave? Master Subhoodie asked. Suyin did not say anything, but his expression became solemn. His resolute and blood-red eyes had already expressed his attitude. Seeing that, the Master Subhoodie nodded his head and chuckled. In life, we should cherish it. Time is fleeting and life is short. If we have no regrets in this life, we will not let this life down. Suyin, since you have such a temperament and such determination, we will not force you. Since that's the case, then go all out. With that, Master Subhoodie's figure gradually disappeared, and in that moment, a large amount of business emerged from Suyun's body. Suyun's entire body trembled. He felt as if he had just woken up from a dream, and his consciousness suddenly awakened. Looking at his palm again, he saw that unknowingly, a burst of light had appeared on his palm, and the shape of the Bodhisattva origin leaf was constantly flashing in the light. This is the power of the Bodhi origin tree. Is it the power of the previous master? Suyin was startled and quickly came to a realization. The Genesis tree was the body of my ancestor, and the Genesis leaf was the soul of the Genesis tree. When my ancestor gave me the Genesis leaf, it was the same as giving me his power. Suyin did not know how strong his master was, or how high his cultivation was, but he was known as one of the 5 saints of the ultimate martial sacred plane. How could he be a mediocre person? When the rhinoceros horn attacked, Suyin could activate the imperial equipment again. Inside the golden cage, a transparent grayish-white chi cover appeared. The rhinoceros was like a hot knife through butter, directly smashing into the chi cover. However, what was shocking was that this collision did not shatter the chi cover. The rhinoceros charged forward with all its might, until it was exhausted and disappeared, but it was still unable to penetrate the chi cover. At this moment, the Imperial Equipment chi cover was unimaginably thick. What? The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign frowned as he watched. At this moment, Suyun's entire body was filled with a terrifyingly dense, profound chi. Not only that, his profound chi was actually full of vitality, overflowing with life. It was spirit life chi. This person's swordsmanship is exquisite. His swift wind spirit chi is not weak, and he is also fighting with the devil chi. How can he produce such a dense spirit life chi now? At this moment, the spirit life chi around Suyun's body was probably on par with the Wanhua realm's realm master. This was the full power of the Master Subhoodie. Cultivators with strong spirit life chi had extremely exuberant life force. But when the profound spirit chi enveloped Suyun's body, the wound on his chest started to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. The dried-up spirit essence in his body looked brand new, and an endless stream of profound spirit chi was produced. Although Suyun's cultivation was not as good as the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign's, and even the power of the profound skills techniques could not harm him, with this dense spirit life chi, the current Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign was also in an awkward situation. His profound chi's advantage no longer existed. And with the protection of this chi and the Wanhua seed, how tenacious was his life force. If he couldn't kill him in one strike, he would definitely revive and recover to his original state. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, was in a difficult situation. The current Su Yun was already difficult to kill. He did not want to get entangled with Su Yun, but the other party would not let him easily enter the small world to fight with Sword Ancestor. He had to think of a way to get rid of this troublesome fellow. Walala. At this moment, the sound of something tearing through the air suddenly rang out. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, turned his gaze and saw Su Yun rushing over with his sword, with several flying swords circling around him. However, Su Yun's target was not the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, but the corpse of the devouring spirit. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign's face changed. He immediately understood Su Yun's intentions. The devouring spirit had died long ago, and what was currently attached to the devouring spirit was a strand of the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign soul. He attempted to use the power of the devouring spirit to deal with Su Yun, to reduce the consumption of his profound strength, and to save his strength to deal with Zhang Wu, Sword Ancestor, and the others. Su Yun had obviously sensed this point. He would first kill the weak devourer. He hoped to destroy the soul of the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, in the devouring spirit's body to weaken his cultivation. It was a good plan, but it was too obvious. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, snorted. His finger moved slightly, and a wisp of profound strength quietly entered the devouring spirit's body. When Su Yun got close to the devouring spirit, the soul inside its body immediately escaped and returned to the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign's body. At the same time, the devouring spirit's body suddenly swelled up, like a balloon that had been blown to its limit, and then exploded with a bang. Su Yun, who was close to the devouring spirit, was sent flying by the chi wave inside the devouring spirit. The skin all over his body split open, and his chi became chaotic. The profound strength in the devouring spirit's corpse has already been used up, and using possession on it is just a waste of energy. There is no value in it. Since that's the case, then let's detonate the remaining profound strength. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, stared at Su Yun, who was in a daze, and waved his hand again. His sleeve fell, revealing his arm, and 3 star patterns appeared on his arm. When the profound strength was activated, the star patterns moved on their own and finally combined together, releasing a circle of light that shot straight into the clouds. The light shot into the sky, and the clouds and mist automatically dispersed. The blazing sun dimmed, and the entire sky began to darken. This scene was similar to the precursor to the activation of the Star Sword. However, in terms of aura alone, it was far from being comparable to the Star Sword. However, he still could not underestimate his opponent. Even if this move was not comparable to the Star Sword, its might was not something Su Yun could contend against. This move was most likely the killing blow of the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, and it required a lot of profound strength. If he could block this attack, even if he could not kill the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, he could at least consume a large portion of his profound chi, causing him to retreat. Su Yun thought, and immediately came up with a plan to deal with it. He also raised his arm and activated the patterns on his arm. Several bolts of lightning shot into the sky, and he used the power of the heavens to draw it to the ground. As the lightning fell, several devil-bone giants stood beside him. The devil chi around his body became even more intense. Those bloodshot eyes that were filled with killing intent became even redder. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, frowned. He stared coldly at Su Yun, his eyes filled with killing intent. Today, no matter if it's the immortals in the sky or the demon king on the ground, no one will be able to save you. I want you to die here. A low roar gradually sounded out, but as his arms suddenly descended, a huge vortex immediately appeared in the sky, and the destructive aura within the vortex surged crazily like a wave. The surrounding supreme expert all stopped their weapons and looked at the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign. What a strong, profound strength. Not good, brat, quickly leave. Zhang Wu's face changed. He roared at Su Yun and rushed towards the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign, intending to forcefully interrupt this move before it could be unleashed. However, the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign was clearly prepared. He activated some kind of magic treasure, and with him, as the center, he created 7 rings of incomparably hard, steel-like walls. No one could get close to the walls, let alone touch the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign. Big Brother Zhang Wu, quickly defend. Quick defend. The supreme expert man's heart shouted at Zhang Wu with all his might. Lord Fengshi had already given up on attacking Zhang Wu and was frantically retreating with his own people. At this moment, who would dare to act recklessly? This move could even injure one's own people. Everyone was like a frightened bird, frantically scattering in all directions. When the Realm Master, who was still waiting for an opportunity, saw this, how could she dare to hesitate? She shouted with the loudest voice the people of Realm Tree had ever heard before. Retreat! Everyone retreat! As the Realm Master shouted, she activated her technique and sized up the vines and trees that grew out from her body. They quickly intertwined with each other and formed a huge barrier. The strange movements and panic of the people around him were enough to show how terrifying this move was. Unable to break through the iron wall and unable to touch the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign, Zhang Wu could only give up. He took out a slightly transparent bowl and enveloped everyone. Looking through the bowl, Zhang Wu's face was filled with regret and helplessness. This person killed the devouring spirit, saved Sword Ancestor and Miao Xianru, and helped the 2 of them escape into the small world. To us, it could be considered a favor, but now, I'm afraid he's going to die in the underworld. Zhang Wu sighed helplessly. Lord Zhang Wu, don't be distracted. The great profound technique is about to come down. Man Shinzi cried out in a low voice, and there was a strange movement in the whirlpool. This was a terrifying, profound technique with an extremely wide range, and the area it fell down on seemed to cover an area of 10,000 kilometers around the gate of nature. Although the profound technique's activation was extremely slow, with such a wide range, even if Su Yun wanted to escape, there was nowhere to run. Everything will be over. The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign muttered as a dark blue ball shot out from the whirlpool. Like a cannonball shot out from a cannon, it fell towards the ground. However, before the ball could land on the ground, it suddenly exploded on its own. A circle of dark blue ripples extended out from the surface of the ball and covered the ground. At this moment, it was as if the apocalypse had erupted. An intoxicated expression appeared on the face of the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign. He leisurely watched the scene of destruction, as if he was enjoying it, enjoying the pleasure of everything being destroyed. The chi pattern, along with the dark blue ball, pressed downwards. The trees were crushed into powder, the mountains were crushed, the rivers were shaken into gas, and all living beings were killed. Everything disappeared into nothingness, as if the sky had collapsed. Chapter 679. The ground had sunk by nearly 100 meters, and the ground was split into pieces. There was not a single place that was intact, and everything on the ground had turned into fine powder, leaving nothing behind. Even the gate of nature, which was blooming with hundreds of flowers and thousands of trees, was only left with a sparkling whirlpool that was constantly spinning, leaving behind a motionless spatial aura. Furthermore, this aura was extremely weak. If the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign were to use some more strength and shatter the source of the spatial aura, then he would be able to directly cut off the connection between the Wanhua realm and the other realms. Looking at the Supreme Expert-S, their cultivations were strong, and they had used their trump card magic treasure S. All of them were able to withstand this attack, but the majority of them had their magic treasure S shattered. The profound Chi S consumed a lot. Their bodies were shaken, and they were extremely weak. It could be said that everyone had been ruthlessly slashed by the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign's divine technique, and they did not distinguish between friend and foe. However, from this attack, it could be seen that the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign was stronger than everyone else. The ground was struck, rocks flew everywhere, the ground collapsed, and the scene was a mess. When the profound technique faded, the yellow earth covered the sky, and the sky was dark, almost to the point where the blazing sun could not be seen. The destructive aura was still lingering in the air, spreading far into the distance. The entire Wanhua realm was shaken. On the Realm Master's side, everyone was already in a mess. The vine tree barrier that she had set up had long been crushed to pieces. The majority of the Realm Tree people behind her were either dead or injured. No one was spared. Even the Realm Master herself was heavily injured. If it was her personal strength, although she would not be able to survive this attack with the profound chi, she would at least be able to protect her own safety. However, most of the people in the Realm Tree could not, so she could only rely on the profound chi to protect everyone. Looking at the mess that was the gate of nature, Realm Master's eyes revealed traces of fatigue and powerlessness. She removed the barrier, stood up, and said in a low voice, "Everyone, return to the Realm Tree." "Yes, yes, sir." Rong Nyuk, who was covered in wounds, stood up and said weakly. In the air, the steel barrier that was wrapped around the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, slowly retreated. He stepped on the air and slowly walked forward, while his gaze stopped at where Su Yun was. It was filled with dust, and behind the dust was a figure that was as large as a mountain. This was the body of the Devil Bone Spirit that Su Yun had summoned. Zhan Wu and the rest watched anxiously. When they saw this scene, helplessness and pity appeared on their faces. Such a profound technique. "I'm afraid that Junior has already left," Zhan Wutan said. "After this matter is settled, let's see if we can collect his 3 spiritual and 7 physical souls to facilitate his resurrection." Man Shinzi said. "Impossible." Zhan Wu shook his head. This kind of terrifying, profound technique already belongs to the ranks of forbidden techniques. This kind of attack, other than dust and water vapor, no other matter can be complete, not to mention the soul. I'm afraid that the soul that was born later, it has already been shattered. After hearing this, Man Shinzi lowered his head. In fact, everyone was clear that in the face of such a profound technique, unless it was an existence above the Spirit Emperor, it would be impossible for them to survive. Furthermore, the main target of the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign's attack was where Su Yun was, and the impact there was the most intense. Even someone in my cultivation base would be severely injured, if not dead, by such an attack. That brat will definitely die. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, muttered as he stared at the figure in the dust. Seeing that it was still stiff and motionless, he turned around and rushed towards the small world that had yet to disperse. As a unique space created by the Spirit Cultivator, unless the Spirit Cultivator died, the small world would not disappear. This small world was created by Zhan Wu, and it would be difficult for him to kill it in a short period of time. Only by entering the small world would he be able to capture the Sword Ancestor. But, just as the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign turned around, an incomparably huge hand suddenly shot out from the hazy dust and grabbed towards his body. What? The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign suddenly turned around. Before he could react, his body was grabbed by the large hand. Following that, his entire body was pulled over by a huge force. When Zhan Wu and the others saw this, they all cried out in alarm. As the dust gradually settled, the huge figure was revealed in front of everyone's eyes. At this time, the Devil Bone Spirit had completely curled up his body, forming a bow shape, and below him, Su Yun was lying on the ground, holding onto the Imperial equipment, gasping for breath as he activated the profound chi. Although he was also in a sorry state, what was surprising was that there were not many wounds on his body. The spirit life chi of the Master Subhoodie, the defense of the 7th tier Imperial equipment, and the Wanhua seed all gave Su Yun a terrifying ability to survive. Adding the protection of the Devil Bone Spirit, Su Yun was actually able to withstand the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign's killing move. This is impossible. The Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign's face had already distorted. He had actually forgotten to struggle and roared at Su Yun. "You are just a 5th stage Sky Spirit Master existence. Even if you obtain the magic treasure, it is impossible for you to resist my attack. You are not a fifth-stage sky spirit master person. You are hiding your cultivation. Who the hell are you? However, when his roar entered Su Yun's ears, what greeted him was a sneer. A mere little technique. You want to shatter the magical equipment made by Lord Changgu and Lord Inamo? Changgu? Inamo? The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, had obviously heard of the names of these two peerless devils, and his expression immediately changed. The devil bone spirit held onto the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, tightly, and stood up with his arched body. When he stood up, he truly had the sky above his head and the earth beneath his feet. He was incomparably majestic. The dense energy crazily acted on the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign's body, making it difficult for him to escape. After using such a move, the profound chi in the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign's body had been consumed by more than half, and his strength had definitely dropped greatly. This was a rare opportunity to kill him. Friends of the Sword Ancestor, the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, no longer has any strength left. While I can still suppress him, please quickly attack and kill him. Just then, Su Yun shouted. When Zhan Wu, Man Xinzi, and the rest heard this, how could they not understand what Su Yun meant? One by one, they removed their defenses and rushed over like meteors. Ignore Dao, Sovereign Fengshe. Kill the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign first. Zhan Wu growled. All right, everyone shouted in unison, all of them brimming with killing intent as they pressed towards the giant. Dao's Sovereign Fengshe wanted to go and save him, but at this moment, Zhan Wu and the others were completely focused on the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, as they charged towards him. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, struggled crazily in the giant's palm for a few times, but was unable to escape. He turned his head and looked at the spirit cultivator that was rushing over, and finally, his gaze landed on Su Yun, who was below. I never thought that I, the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, would actually lose to a person like you today. Very good, very good. Man, tell me your name. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, said coldly. Do you want to take revenge on me? Su Yun said. Revenge? To you? You don't have the qualifications. Then you're not worthy to know my name. Su Yun snorted. Hearing that, the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, was infuriated, but now was not the time to be entangled with Su Yun. He suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a stone that was glowing with a red light, then opened his mouth and bit down, causing the stone to shatter. In an instant, a flame shot out from the stone and swallowed the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, with astonishing force, completely concealing his body. When the flame disappeared, the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, had already disappeared. This is the Void Flame. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, must have left the Wanhua realm and returned to the Eastern Emperor Island. Zhan Wu stopped and said in a low voice, I never thought that this guy would be so afraid. If the situation isn't good, he'll run away. Man Xinzi snorted and said in disdain. The Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, left, but the matter was not over yet. Zhan Wu and Man Xinzi immediately turned their spears and aimed them at Dao's Sovereign Fengshe. However, things had already come to this. The ghastly Ghost King was dead. The Spirit Devourer was killed by Su Yun, and the Eastern Emperor, Heavenly Sovereign, had escaped without a trace. The strength of the people on their side was simply unable to contend against Zhan Wu and the others, so even if they continued to fight, there would be no results. This won't be the end of it. Dao, Sovereign Fengshe, bellowed, turned his head, and rushed towards the gate of nature. When the others saw this, they all retreated, no longer fighting. With all the experts dead, the remaining people were not enough to contend against Zhan Wu. Other than leaving, they had no other choice. Don't leave. Man Xinzi wanted to give chase, but was stopped by Zhan Wu in time. Now is not the time to be entangled with them. Sword Ancestor's injuries are in danger. We should immediately head to the small world to check on Sword Ancestor's situation. Hearing that, Man Xinzi came to a realization and hurriedly nodded his head. Right. Let's quickly go and see how his injuries are. With that said, he hurriedly flew towards the small world. Just then, the Devil Bone spirit disappeared, and the entire world returned to silence. However, Su Yun, who was activating the Devil Bone spirit, fell to the ground. Seeing that, everyone stopped in their tracks. "You guys go first. I'll go take a look at this little brother," Zhang Wu shouted, and then flew towards Su Yun. After landing on the ground, Zhang Wu immediately helped Su Yun up and imbued profound strength into his body, nourishing his withered body. After a while, Su Yun finally opened his eyes. "Thank you," Su Yun said slowly. "I should be the one to say that to you." Zhang Wu's face revealed a smile and a trace of admiration. "Although you are wearing a shielding magic treasure, it is useless against people of our cultivation. You are only at the 5th stage of the Sky Spirit Master, but you have killed a 2nd stage Spirit Emperor existence, and even repelled a supreme expert like the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign. If this kind of battle record were spread, it would be enough to shock the entire universe. This is not what I want." Su Yun shook his head and dragged his weak body to stand up. He was just exhausted. He did not have many injuries, and even if there were, he would be able to recover with the support of his master's profound qi and the Wanhua seed. "I'm fine. It's just that my qi is exhausted. You should quickly go and see how Sword Ancestor is. Once his body is damaged, the sword storm will erupt, and the situation will be out of control," Su Yun said weakly. "You're right." Zhang Wu nodded and immediately stood up. "Little brother, you can rest here. I will go to the small world to see Sword Ancestor. Don't worry. We will take care of this. After settling Sword Ancestor, I will immediately come over." With that, he flew into the small world. Chapter 680. After Zhang Wu entered the small world, there was no one around. Su Yun sat cross-legged on the ground and meditated. The spirit life qi that was revolving around his body started to gather towards a point beside him, gathering more and more, becoming denser and denser. Finally, it turned into a Bodhi origin leaf and floated in front of Su Yun. The green leaf swayed and slowly fell to the ground. The moment the leaf touched the ground, it shone with a dazzling light. Following that, a figure appeared from within the light. Looking closely, he saw that this person was the Master Subhoodie. "Master!" Su Yun was about to stand up and pay his respects, but was stopped by his master in time. "You have consumed a lot of profound qi, so you should recover a little first. You don't need to do these formalities." After the master finished speaking, he took out a pill that was glowing with an emerald green light and handed it over to Su Yun. "Take it." "Thank you, master." Without any hesitation, Su Yun took the pill and swallowed it, not asking about the effects of the pill at all. Once the pill entered his stomach, it could be digested. It was like a mouthful of sweet spring water, starting to nourish every part of Su Yun's body, causing his extremely weak body to quickly be filled with energy. Su Yun's pale face also glowed with a bit of light. "Now that the enemies of the Sword Ancestor have been expelled, your mission has been completed, and what happens next is not something you should consider. Su Yun, you should be able to leave the Wanhua realm and return to the ultimate martial world. You do not need to interfere with the matters here anymore." "Master, what do you mean by that?" Su Yun asked, puzzled. "There are a lot of people spying on the Wanhua realm, and the enemies of the Sword Ancestor were only intentionally attracted by these greedy people. Now that the battle has ended, the result is that both sides are injured. How can those people not make a move on the Wanhua realm? The Gate of Nature has not been destroyed yet, so I expect that these people will invade the Wanhua realm soon. What you should do is to quickly leave this place, to avoid being poisoned," the master said. Hearing that, Su Yun's face immediately became anxious. Could it be that these people still haven't given up? "Master, I must think of a way to stop them. How can a person's heart be satisfied? Furthermore, with your current state, how can you stop them? With your strength alone, you cannot change this fact. The only thing you can do is to leave this place and protect yourself, so that those who care about you and love you won't worry. But you are a loyal person, but the matters of the Wanhua realm are ultimately the matters of the Wanhua realm. How much can you do? Let's hurry up and go." My teacher sighed. Su Yun thought for a while, exhaled, nodded, stood up, and cupped his fists. "Master, disciple wants to go see Sword Ancestor first." "All right." Master Subhoodie extended his hand again and handed over a green leaf to Su Yun. The gate of nature has already been surrounded by tyrants. You cannot leave from there. When the meeting with the sword ancestor is over, you can tear apart this leaf, and it will send you into the ultimate martial sacred plane. Thank you, Master. Suyin took the green leaf and held it tightly in his hands. Then, he took a step forward and flew towards the small world in the sky. Crash! He quickly entered the small world. Master Subhoodie, who was below, looked at Suyun, then turned and walked forward slowly. Gradually, his figure disappeared into the void. In the small world, Sword Ancestor sat in the center, while Zhan Wu, Miao Xinru, and the other experts sat cross-legged around him. All of their hands formed palms and imprinted on his body, as though they were instilling profound strength into him. The small world was completely silent. It was a vast expanse of white. There was nothing here. This place could be said to be completely different from Nangong Wentian's world. This place was temporarily created by Zhan Wu as a refuge. He did not have the time to do too much. Su Yun supported his weak body and walked over, only to see that Zhan Wu and the rest had worried faces. All of them had serious expressions, and the sword ancestor in the middle, although he was wrapped in a large amount of mysterious, profound strength, his broken body still did not improve. Everyone give up. Just then, Sword Ancestor suddenly opened his eyes and said slowly, "No, we can't just give up like this." Miao Xian's eyes were red as she spoke with a sobbing tone. Seeing that, Sword Ancestor could not help but laugh bitterly. "Why are you sad? It's not like I will die. What you're trying to save right now is just my temporary body." Hearing that, Zhan Wu sighed. "But if you don't have this body, where should you go? Your protective sword storm is simply too strong. Once there is no space to seal you, this storm will destroy any realm. I'll leave it to fate. If it really doesn't work, I'll stay in your small world." "How can that be? The small world can't move. If you stay here, the Eastern Emperor Sky's sovereign and the others will definitely come looking for you in the future to take revenge. It's too dangerous for you to stay here." Manshinzi said, "That's right, Sword Ancestor, you can't stay here. If you're willing, come back with me to the Great Sun Mountain." Miao Xian hesitated for a moment before speaking in a low voice. "No need. That will only bring you trouble." Sword Ancestor shook his head. "Furthermore, I am currently only a strand of my soul. If I do not gather all of my soul, I will always be like this, and it will be difficult for the sword storm to restrain itself. We will think of a way to help you revive." "Thank you." Sword Ancestor stood up and cupped his fists towards the people around him. Suyin took a light breath and walked over. Sword Ancestor looked at Su Yun and revealed a smile. For some reason, a gentle breeze rippled through the small world, and the snow-white hair swayed along with it. "Sword Ancestor," Su Yun called out. "Su Yun, how are you? Are you all right?" "I'm fine." Su Yun shook his head. "In this battle, with the help of Ultimate Martial Sacred Plane's Great Saint Master Subhoodie, my physical body's life force is extremely vigorous. I won't die so easily." "That's good." Sword Ancestor nodded his head. "In the future, when I revive, I will personally go to Ultimate Martial Sacred Plane and pay my respects to Master Subhoodie." "Sword Ancestor, who is this little brother? Why did he help you?" Zhan Wu looked at Su Yun and could not help but ask. It was the first time these people had seen Su Yun, and they were unfamiliar with him. Su Yun's strength was not considered strong. He was at the 5th stage of the Sky Spirit Master, but this 5th stage of cultivation had consecutively defeated the existence of the Spirit Emperor, causing everyone to be shocked and have a strong interest in Su Yun. Hearing that, the smile on Sword Ancestor's face became even wider. "This person's surname is Su Yun. He came from my sword sect. He is a disciple of my limitless sword sect." "What?" Zhan Wu was shocked. "Is he your disciple? If it's your disciple, how could he have such a method to kill the spirit-devouring emperor?" "Big brother, did you give him any treasures?" Manshinzi asked. Sword Ancestor shook his head. "I'm ashamed to say it. Other than the sword sheath's sword art, I didn't teach him anything else. Speaking of which, my sword sect has let him down." "Sword Ancestor, please don't say that. It's just that this disciple isn't skilled enough. Su Yun immediately said, "Your talent is very good, and you're also very hardworking. Your perseverance is especially valuable. If you were to meet a master teacher, I'm afraid your good fortune would be far more than this." Sword Ancestor said. Su Yun did not say anything, and only cupped his fists. "Sword Ancestor, now is not the time to talk about this. We should think of a way to settle you down. This small world cannot be maintained for long. You must find a safe place to stay." At this time, Miao Xin spoke up. "That's right." Su Yun nodded his head. "Sword Ancestor, when Disciple came in just now, my master told me that all the small fries from all over the world are already restless and planning to attack the Wanhua realm. This place will soon be filled with the flames of war. Sword Ancestor, you should quickly leave." Oh, Sword Ancestor was slightly surprised. On the other hand, Man Shinzi and the rest snorted. "It's just a bunch of small fries. What's there to be afraid of? Do they dare to behave atrociously in front of us? See if I don't crush them all." "Man Shinzi, don't act recklessly," Zhan Wu said indifferently. "The Eastern Emperor Sky, Sovereign, and the rest are not dead yet, and they will definitely not give up on the Sword Ancestor. This time, they know that the Sword Ancestor's soul is here and will definitely come back in the future. We must save our strength to deal with them." Hearing that, Man Shinzi nodded. Hearing that, Su Yun stood up and bowed deeply toward Zhan Wu. Master Zhan Wu's words are indeed reasonable, but Su Yun still hopes that Master can lend Su Yun a hand. "You are the successor of the Sword Ancestor, so you are one of us. If you have anything to say, feel free to say it. Everyone here is a great sage of the myriad heavens realm, a peak-capable person with a name that shakes the world. Today, the Wanhua realm has met with an unexpected calamity. It is the misfortune of all living beings. Although Su Yun is not a good person, but he still knows how to repay kindness. If not for the Wanhua realm lord's help, Su Yun would have died a long time ago. Therefore, Su Yun hopes that everyone here can come out and intimidate those small fries who are trying to make a move on the Wanhua realm, and let them retreat." Zhan Wu fell into deep thought. Man Shinzi shouted, "Little brother, I understand what you mean, but we still need to save our strength to settle the Sword Ancestor. I'm afraid this favor. I'm afraid. You don't have to worry about me. I already have an idea." Just then, Sword Ancestor suddenly spoke. Hearing that, everyone looked at him. Sword Ancestor asked, "Su Yun, is that death sword of yours still there?" Su Yun immediately took down the death sword from his back. Sword Ancestor took it and stared at the death sword. The corner of his mouth raised into a smile. "The sword storm is my protective storm. Although it can protect my soul in time, it has also brought me all sorts of inconveniences. Everyone, if I remove the protective storm, I can stay in the Wanhua realm. Right? What?" Hearing that, Miao Xin immediately became anxious. "No, the protective storm is the source of your power. Without this, your power will be weakened again. How will you protect yourself? I'm afraid that any Sky Spirit Master existence will be enough to kill you. But without the protective storm, I can easily hide, can't I? I can stay and go as I please, and any place can be my shelter." Sword Ancestor laughed. He then extended his hand and grabbed the blade of the death sword. "Su Yun, today I have sealed my protective sword storm into the death sword. The death sword is a very special sword. Its power is enough to withstand this storm. I hope that all of this can be resolved." With that said, the palm started to glow, and Sword Ancestor's entire body started to ripple with a halo. Seeing that, everyone was stunned. Su Yun was also extremely astonished. "Come here." At this time, Sword Ancestor said again. Su Yun anxiously walked over. Sword Ancestor extended his other hand and pressed it on Su Yun's chest. "Today's matter is all because of my incompetence. The Spirit Devouring and the Eastern Emperor Heavenly Sovereign are supreme beings. You should not be fighting against them. Although your life is not in danger, as the Ancestor, I have still failed in my duty. Su Yun, I will place the method to unseal the sword storm in your heart. If you need it in the future, use it when you need it. There is no need to worry." Hearing that, Su Yun's heart jumped. "Ancestor, I believe in you, and I know your character. Unless you have no other choice, you will not casually use this move, but you still have your family to save, you still have unfinished business, do not hesitate. Accept it. Sword Ancestor said seriously. Suyin opened his mouth, but finally nodded. The halo continued to appear, and after about the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, it gradually weakened. Chapter 681. After the Sword Ancestor sealed the sword storm into the Death Sword, his own strength dropped greatly, to the point that he fell back to the 10th stage of the Spirit Master, and no longer had the ability to protect himself. However, in this way, he did not have to worry about the future. No matter where he went, he did not have to worry about the sword storm destroying the interface, and it would not be easy for others to find his hiding place. However, what surprised everyone was that after the Sword Ancestor sealed the sword storm into the Death Sword, he refused to go to the cultivation grounds of Zhanwu, Miao Xian, and the others to receive their protection, and insisted on staying in the Wanhua realm. Although the Sword Ancestor did not explain the reason, Su Yun understood that the reason he did so was entirely for himself. As long as the Sword Ancestor stayed in the Wanhua realm, Zhanwu and the others would definitely protect this realm with all their might. In the end, the Sword Ancestor was still trying to repay Su Yun's kindness. Su Yun wanted to stop him, but looking at the pair of resolute eyes on Sword Ancestor's smiling face, he understood that even if he spoke, he would not be able to change Sword Ancestor's decision. There was a commotion in the gate of nature, and countless small fries from all over the world swarmed over. The injured Realm Master immediately led the Realm Tree army and rushed over, but before the battle even started, Zhanwu and the rest appeared to stop them. Miao Xian was the Mountain Lord of the Sun Tomb realm. It was said that she had cultivated for 10,000 years. Her cultivation was profound, and she once had the glorious battle record of killing 13 first-stage Spirit Emperor existences in a row. Her might shook the 10,000 worlds, her reputation was extremely great, and she was known as the female fiend god. Zhanwu was the realm master of the sword-slaying world, and his cultivation was also not ordinary. Furthermore, most of the cultivation sects in the sword-slaying world were led by him, and his power was monstrous, and no one dared to offend him. When these two people appeared, they were like two huge mountains that blocked the intruders, not to mention Man Shinzi and the others. With these people interfering, how could those rascals dare to offend them? They immediately retreated, not daring to plot against the Wanhua realm. Seeing that, Su Yun heaved a sigh of relief. As for the Sword Ancestor, it was said that the Realm Master planned to build a new house for the Sword Ancestor to stay in temporarily, and also sent Yang Lang to guard the house for the Sword Ancestor to protect him. Although this was not a long-term plan, but as matters stood, everyone had no other choice. They could only think of a way to quickly gather the rest of the Sword Ancestor's soul, and quickly gather all of them together, so that the Sword Ancestor could regain his former glory. The Sword Ancestor had been properly settled, and the crisis in the Wanhua realm had been resolved. Su Yun heaved a sigh of relief, then crushed the leaf given to him by his master, and returned to the ultimate martial sacred plane to pay his respects to his master. However, when he returned to the sacred plains, he did not see any trace of his master. After looking for his disciple, he found out that his master had gone into closed-door cultivation and would not come out for a short period of time. Thus, he could only leave the sacred plains and return to the ultimate martial world. After the matter was over, Su Yun was not in a hurry to return to the True Devil sect, but went to look for Hu Qianmei first. Back then, he had told her that after he succeeded the position of Demon Lord, he would go look for her, but he did not expect that there would be a series of training and an unforeseen event in the Wanhua realm, which caused him to waste a lot of time. I wonder how Hu Qianmei is doing now, Su Yun thought. Currently, his cultivation was already at the peak of the 5th stage of the Sky Spirit Master. Because he had slain the Spirit Devourer, it was only a matter of time before he broke through to the 6th stage. His fighting strength had soared to 84,100 points, and his ranking had also risen to over 3,725,000. Su Yun did not know what the statistics on the qualification plate were based on. Perhaps it included the Myriad Heavens realm, But from this, there were more than 3 million experts in front of him, all of whom had higher cultivation than him. He did not know what the cultivation level of the most ordinary disciple in the Supreme Sect was. Su Yun carried a heavy mind as he quickly rushed to the ultimate martial world. In the resplendent starry sky, a group of spirit cultivator S were flying in the sky, speeding towards the brightest planet in the northwest direction. Everyone's speed was extremely fast, as if they were using magic treasure S. They were almost as fast as a beam of light. Mortals could only see a meteor shower streaking across the sky. Very quickly, this group of people approached the shining star. The star was not big, its diameter was not more than 1,000 miles, but the entire star was glowing with multicolored light. It was extremely mystical, and on top of the star, there was an incomparably huge golden jade door. In front of the door, there were dragons and tigers crouching. It was a magnificent scene. Countless spirit saint beasts were entrenched, and in front of the door, there were a few spirit cultivator dressed in golden robes, with white dragon patterns on their chests. All of them sat cross-legged in front of the door, meditating with their eyes closed, as though they were cultivating. When they sensed someone approaching, they all opened their eyes and looked towards the newcomer. These people landed on the ground one by one and lined up in 2 rows. 3 of them walked towards the door. The 3 of them were 2 men and 1 woman. One of them looked old and wore a yellow robe. He had a long beard and eyebrows, giving him the demeanor of an immortal. The Supreme Sect disciple who was guarding the door walked forward, cupped his fists towards the 3 of them, and asked, "May I know who you are, and why are you here?" "No need to be hypocritical." The old man coldly snorted and said, "Quickly hand over my grand disciple. If not, I will definitely teach your Supreme Sect a lesson." With that said, all the spirit cultivator S gathered together and stared at the old man vigilantly. "Grand disciple?" That person said indifferently, "Who is your grand disciple?" "Su Luluo." The old man said coldly, "Oh, it's actually Holy Maiden Su?" Hearing that, the man nodded his head lightly. "Then you must be the great clan elder who has been cleared out. These 2 must be Su Shintian and Shun Shueshiwa, right? You guys are really late. I reckon that you guys should have arrived earlier." "Brat, what do you mean?" With a snort, he extended his hand and grabbed the spirit cultivator's neck. The spirit cultivator's cultivation was no match for him. He was grabbed by the neck and was unable to resist. His entire body was lifted up. However, the spirit cultivator did not struggle, nor did he resist. His face did not even reveal a pained expression, as though he did not care about his actions at all. "If Master wants to kill me, then please do so. No one in Supreme Sect is afraid of death." The spirit cultivator said. His face did not have much of an expression, and even his tone was rather calm. He wanted to be at ease, but he had nowhere to vent his anger, so he directly threw the man to the ground. "Your Supreme Sect is just a bunch of walking corpses. Quick, bring Su Luluo here quickly, or else I will destroy your door." "Sir, there is no need to waste your energy and time. Before you all came, Holy Maiden Su had already given us an order. If you all come, please leave. She will not leave the Supreme Sect. Of course, if you are willing to abandon the dark and enter the embrace of the Supreme Sect, I think Holy Maiden Su will be very happy, and you all can reunite with your family, right?" The spirit cultivator said again. But in the next second, a sharp sword came from the side and chopped off his head. Puffed, bloodlight shot into the sky. Shun Shueshiwa was startled. He turned to look, only to see that Su Shantian had unsheathed his sword and was staring angrily at the headless corpse. "Master, there's no need to waste words with them. These people will not do as you say. They will only waste time with us. The only thing we could do now is to destroy all of their bodies, imprison their souls, and force Luluo out." Su Shintian said coldly. Hearing that, he nodded. "That's right." With that, he waved his hand, and the 100 or so spirit cultivator S behind them, like eagles spreading their wings, attacked the Supreme Sect disciples in front of the door. However, facing an enemy that was several times stronger than them, none of the Supreme Sect disciples ran away. Instead, they took out their magic treasure and prepared to face the enemy. Yin and yang of the world, the cycle of reincarnation, all living things return to their roots. Only I, the Supreme Unity, will never die. They continued to shout, as if they were slogans, but also as if they were beliefs. Everyone was chanting this sentence, and the louder their voices, the stronger their fighting spirit became. The people he brought with him were all his elite disciples, and a few of them were only slightly weaker than Su, Shuntian, and Shunshueshue. However, it took him an entire incense stick of time to take care of these guarding disciples. In the end, all of the Supreme Sect's guarding disciples were killed. He wanted to take out a fiery red cauldron, ignite the fire, and throw the souls of these disciples into the cauldron. The Supreme Sect will definitely know about this matter. They will be here soon. All of you prepare yourselves. He wanted to shout in a low voice. Everyone nodded and dispersed, setting up a seal. However, not long after, a dazzling light shone from within the Grand Supreme Sect. Following that, a large number of figures appeared. There were men and women, old and young. They were all wearing golden robes with a white dragon pattern tattooed on their chests. With swords in their hands, they rushed out and quickly surrounded the crowd. Upon closer inspection, there were actually more than 1,000 people. He opened his eyes slightly, stared at the 1,000 people, and roared, "Where is my grand disciple, Su Luluo? Why hasn't she come yet? How noble is Holy Maiden Su? How can filthy people like you see it? The Holy Maiden already knows that you are here, but she has spoken. If you are willing to abandon the dark and enter the light, join the Supreme Sect, and pursue the Supreme Divine Tao with us, then she will personally come out to welcome you. If you are here to cause trouble, then please leave for the sake of family ties. Holy Maiden Su is not willing to make things difficult for you." A middle-aged man with a crew cut shouted in a low voice while holding onto his sword. "She still knows about family ties?" He coldly snorted again and again. "In that case, she doesn't want to see us. Either leave or die," the man shouted. Hearing this, he laughed out loud. "I want to be free, but now that I have come to your Supreme Sect, not only is there not even a decent person to receive me, I am even being threatened by some cats and dogs. If I do not kill people today to establish my might, how will I be able to stand in the myriad of worlds in the future?" With that, he personally made his move. His hands moved, releasing a large amount of powder-like mist that shot in all directions. The bodies of those within the mist immediately exploded, and not a single one of them was spared. The middle-aged man's expression was as calm as an ancient well. There was no fear, and even more so, he did not try to escape. However, compared to his cultivation, the difference in strength was simply too great. After exchanging blows for 2 rounds, his body was shattered and he died. The souls of these Supreme Sect people were once again absorbed into the cauldron. Such a massacre was enough to attract the attention of the Supreme Sect. But this way, he could be considered to have completely fallen out with the Supreme Sect. Su Shintian focused his eyes. Shun Shuishua's expression was also extremely heavy. They all knew that at this point, there was no turning back. Chapter 682. Did you see that? After entering the Supreme Sect, they do not know fear, they do not know happiness, they do not know sorrow. No matter how strong they are, they will not escape. In their hearts, they will only chase after the illusory Supreme Divine Tao. They will only believe that the Supreme Divine Tao is the Supreme Tao in the world. And those who are not from the Supreme Sect are all different species, all filthy beings. This kind of sect is clearly an evil sect. If Luluo continues to stay in the Supreme Sect, sooner or later, she will be like these people, fearlessly and miserably dying. Indeed, Su Shantian secretly clenched his fists and replied in a low voice. Shun Shueshue had already turned her face away in sorrow. The people of Supreme Sect were indeed, as the rumors said. Crash! Just then, the Supreme Sect once again lit up, and more people rushed out. It was densely packed. There was a sea of people. There were over 10,000 of them, and every single one of them had a cultivation level that was not lower than the 2nd stage of the Sky Spirit Master. Why are you all still so stubborn? Why are you not willing to join the Supreme Sect? Why are you not willing to be redeemed? Why are you not willing to choose the right path? Just at this moment, a clear and melodious voice that was extremely pleasing to the ear floated out from within the Greater One sect. With that said, Shan Shuishue's entire body trembled. Tears of joy or pain immediately flowed from her eyes. She anxiously looked at the door, her pale face filled with complexity. Su Shantian shifted his gaze, staring at the door, not saying a word. The light from inside the door grew brighter and brighter, accompanied by a mysterious and supreme aura that overflowed. The people who rushed out of the Supreme Gate were divided into 2 rows, standing on the left and right sides of the gate. Then, they all knelt down and shouted towards the gate. The Tao is formed by the heavens. The myriad laws are boundless. The Holy Maiden enjoys it forever. The Tao is formed by the heavens. The myriad laws are boundless. The Holy Maiden enjoys it forever. The Tao is formed by the heavens. The myriad laws are boundless. The Holy Maiden enjoys it forever. The voice rose and fell, one after the other. It was extremely loud. Amidst these shouts, a young girl with a tender face walked out from inside. The young girl was especially beautiful, like a porcelain doll. She had milky skin, a delicate nose, cherry lips, and watery eyes. Her hair was black and glossy, hanging in front of her chest. She didn't have any makeup on, nor did she wear any accessories. Just like the others, she wore a golden robe. However, the difference was that her chest didn't have a white dragon tattoo, but a white phoenix tattoo. The phoenix tattoo was vivid and lifelike, as if it was alive. Seeing the young lady walk out, Shan Shueshue's expression immediately became excited. She could not help but step forward, but she was immediately stopped by Su Shantian. Shueshue, don't mess around. Su Shantian exclaimed. Only God knew what kind of state of mind he was in when he said those words. Shan Shueshue endured the sadness and looked at her husband. However, she saw a flash of helplessness in the depths of his eyes. Her heart was even sadder. She took a light breath and cried out to Su Luluo. Luluo, do you still insist on staying in Supreme Sect? For the sake of Supreme Sect, you don't even want your mother? Leave and come back to Mother. Mother can't bear to part with you. Saying that, Shan Shueshue's tears could not help but flow out from her slightly red eyes. If you are here to join the Supreme Sect and pursue the Supreme Divine Tao with us, then we welcome you. If you are not, then please leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, we will eliminate you according to the rules of the Supreme Sect. Su Luluo said expressionlessly. There was not much emotion in his voice. Hearing that, Shan Shueshue's heart was broken, and his tears became even more intense. Luluo, do you know? These words of yours are going to pierce through your mother's heart. However, facing the heartbroken Shan Shueshue, Su Luluo did not reveal any expression of guilt at all. He was still expressionless, and looked at Shan Shueshue, Su Shantian, and the others with eyes that became even colder. Shueshue, Shantian, you don't need to say any more. Anyone who joins the Supreme Sect will not recognize their own family. This is not Liolua's fault. It is the Supreme Sect's fault. But now that things have come to this, we must bring Luluo away. We cannot let her fall deeper and deeper. Just then, Jizazai, who was at the side, suddenly spoke up, and then, like the wind, he rushed towards Su Luluo and immediately struck out with his palm, killing him. He really did not hesitate to fight. Su Luluo was forced to retaliate. She did not panic and took half a step back. She gently raised the jade disc, and with a shake of her 5 fingers, a strange chi flew out from her fingertips. This chi was black and white, black wrapped around white. It was mysterious and profound. It was extremely strange. It was extremely different from normal profound chi. When the chi touched him, his face actually changed, and he retreated a few steps back. Master! The 2 of them hurriedly rushed forward to support him. Are you all right, Master? Su Shantian exclaimed. I'm fine. Yuzazai stabilized his aura and said in a low voice, I never thought that after so many years, Lilua's cultivation would increase again. With her superb talent and unique, limitless, profound chi, her current cultivation is probably even stronger than mine. Master, don't make a move. Let me fight with Luluo. Su Shintian said in a deep voice, I don't believe that she will kill me, her biological father. Do you think she doesn't dare? He immediately scolded. The people of Supreme Sect are all heartless and heartless. Do you think they have not done enough to kill their relatives and friends? But Liolua's cultivation is very high and is not easy to deal with. If you fight with him, what if something happens? Accident? No way. I want to roam the 10,000 worlds for more than 10,000 years. Could it be that I am afraid of a junior? He then quickly took out a pill from the space bag and stuffed it into his mouth, then rushed towards Su Luluo again. Seeing that, Su Shantian and Shun Shue could only watch quietly from the side. After trudging all the way, he finally arrived at Beiyang. Stepping into the territory of the Black Fish Chamber of Commerce, Su Yun's footsteps could not help but quicken, and he quickly walked towards the cultivation house that Hu Qianmei had previously placed. There were people coming and going on a main street. Su Yun's pitch-black robe was extremely conspicuous, adding his white face and red eyes. His entire body was overflowing with devil chi, causing many people to look at him. Arriving in front of the house's door was tightly shut. The sealing array in front of the door was still activated. Su Yun smiled. He walked over and extended his hand to press on the sealing array. In an instant, the array stopped moving. At this time, the owner of the house should know that there was someone outside. He would most likely remove the sealing array and let people in. It was just that. Su Yun waited at the door for a long time, but there was no movement. Instead, the array formation started to operate on its own. What was going on? Su Yun was suspicious. Could it be that Qianmei was not in the house? Su Yun thought, then pressed on the array again. But after waiting for a while, he still did not see the door open. At this time, a commotion suddenly broke out at the end of the street, followed by shouts. Halt! If you don't stop now, don't blame us for being merciless. Don't think that we won't dare to make a move just because we are in the city. If you don't stop now, we will immediately kill you. With the protection of the Lord, we will definitely not be punished by the city lord. The roars continued to ring out, and the crowd in the crowded street was forced apart. A few figures were rushing over at an unbelievably fast speed, and in the blink of an eye, they were already close to the house. Su Yun looked and saw that the one running at the front was actually Hu Qianmei, who was dressed in red with white ears and white tail. At the moment, Hu Qianmei's body was covered in wounds. She was gasping for breath, and her forehead was covered in sweat. She looked back and shouted, You will regret it. As long as I don't die today, I will definitely make you look good. With that said, Hu Qianmei used all his strength and walked toward the house. This kind of house had a certain amount of defensive power. When it was built, there were many enchantments set up around it, and these enchantments were all controlled by the master. It would not be easy to break through these enchantments and enter the house. It was just that, just as Hu Qianmei ran to the house, he saw the person standing in front of the door. She was stunned and stood rooted to the ground, probably unable to believe the appearance of this person. However, the people behind him seized the opportunity, and with a flash, they landed behind him. A middle-aged man did not say a word and directly punched Hu Qianmei's back. Hu Qianmei's delicate body flew out and heavily smashed onto the wall at the side, causing the wall to shatter. She rolled a few times, and when she was about to get up, she spat out a mouthful of captivating red blood. Su Yun was stunned. He quickly walked forward and helped Hu Qianmei up and anxiously imbued profound chi into her body. Big brother, you're finally back, Hu Qianmei said excitedly. At the moment, her face was haggard and her red lips were covered in blood. What happened? Su Yun asked softly. Hu Qianmei wanted to say something, but suddenly her face changed and she anxiously shouted, Big brother, be careful. With that said, the middle-aged man had already sent his leg flying over. The surging profound chi attached to his leg, fiercely attacking Su Yun's head. Are you her accomplice? If that's the case, Die. The voice came along with the wind. If one's cultivation wasn't high enough, one's head would probably explode from this kick. However, Suyin did not even look at that person. He casually raised his hand, opened his palm, and instantly caught the flying leg that was kicking over. The middle-aged man was taken aback. Before he could react, the palm suddenly exerted force. Kacha! A crisp sound rang out, and the middle-aged man's calf was instantly crushed. Even his bones and flesh were crushed into a pulp, and one of his legs was crippled. Ah! A shrill scream rang out. The man struggled madly, but his leg was caught by the other party, and he was unable to break free. Go back to the mansion and wait for me. Suyin lightly kissed Hu Qianmei's smooth forehead and said with a smile, Big brother, they have more people. You, go quickly, don't worry about me. Suyin laughed. Seeing that, Hu Qianmei hesitated for a moment, but she felt that the current Suyin was completely different from before. Her cultivation seemed to have increased again, and even if she could not take care of these people, escaping would not be a problem, so she did not hesitate anymore. She was injured and could not help much. Staying here would only be a burden to him. You have to come back quickly, Hu Qianmei said reluctantly. Yes. With that said, Hu Qianmei walked towards the mansion. Seeing that, the people on the other side became anxious and rushed over in unison. But Hu Qianmei's body was agile. With a burst of speed, he closed the ceiling array. The door opened, he rushed in, and then the array was activated again, completely sealing the door. Cunning fox, open the door. These people roared in exasperation. However, it had no effect. What are you all still standing there for? Hurry up and save me. The middle-aged man, whose head was covered in cold sweat from the pain, immediately roared when he saw that his companions were still caring about the fox. Only after his roar did people realize that there was still a Suyin here. Chapter 683. Hearing the shout, everyone immediately turned to look at Suyin. The fox demon has escaped into the house. With the size of the house, I'm afraid its defensive power cannot be underestimated. It will not be broken in a short period of time, and this is the city, so it is not convenient to use profound technique to forcefully break through the door. We can only think of other ways. One of them looked at Suyin and said softly, This person seems to be acquainted with the fox demon. Take him down first, use him as a hostage, and force the fox demon out. All right. When everyone heard this, they all nodded and surrounded him. Suyin let go of his hand. Pow! The middle-aged man fiercely smashed into the ground, shattering the floor. Looking at one of his legs, it could be considered to be completely crippled. Seeing that, everyone was furious. They wanted to question Suyin, but they heard the sound of swords being unsheathed. Looking to the side, he realized that Suyin had already pulled out the sword in his hand. What are you going to do? The man's voice trembled. However, Suyin did not say a word, and directly raised his sword to kill. Hu Qianmei, who was hiding in the mansion, did not leave. Through the gap in the door, she quietly looked outside, and was also prepared. If Suyin escaped, she would open the door for him. However, the next scene caused her to be dumbstruck. Suyin pulled out the death sword and slashed towards those people. His speed was so fast that it was impossible to detect his figure. All they could see was a few pitch-black devil chi spinning in the air, slowly covering everyone's bodies. After the devil chi dissipated, all of them froze in place, motionless like statues. Following that, Suyin kept the death sword and walked toward the house. It had only been half an incense stick of time. Hu Qianmei was startled. Only when Suyin walked to the door did she react, and anxiously opened the door to let Suyin in. And when she looked at the spirit cultivator-s, she saw that their bodies had already been torn to pieces, and with a gust of wind, they turned into meat scraps and died, leaving only the 3 souls and 7 spirits lingering in the air. They were all killed. Your cultivation has increased by so much. Hu Qianmei closed the door and anxiously circled around Suyin. Her watery eyes were wide open, and she looked extremely shocked. What happened? Suyin asked seriously. Did you get into trouble again? Seeing Suyin's stern face, Hu Qianmei seemed to be a little afraid, but she still held on to her temper, placed her hands on her hips, and snorted. Yeah. I did cause trouble. So what? Pa! Just as she finished speaking, her perky buttocks were fiercely slapped. This palm had purposely broken Hu Qianmei's protective profound chi and directly hit the flesh, causing Hu Qianmei to almost fall to the ground in pain. Tears flowed down her face. What are you doing? Hu Qianmei felt wrong. It's your fault for being disobedient. When did I become disobedient? I lied to you. I didn't cause any trouble. The one who caused trouble. It's Junior's sister, Hu Qianmei said, feeling extremely wronged. Hearing that, Su Yun's eyebrows twitched. After a while, he suddenly understood and said, You mean Long Xianli? Yes, Hu Qianmei said, feeling wronged. Where is she now? Su Yun asked. Seeing that, Hu Qianmei wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes, looked at Su Yun suspiciously, and then chuckled. Why are you so concerned about my junior sister? In the end, we are friends who have known each other for many years. How can we not ask? Su Yun shook his head. However, Hu Qianmei did not think so. She hugged her breasts and snorted. Forget it, between a man and a woman. How can there be friendship? What kind of logic is this? Stubborn. Hu Qianmei looked at Su Yun, and then slowly said, Actually, I found out about this matter by chance. If I did not know about this matter, I am afraid that there would not be today's disaster. Hu Qianmei seemed to have thought of something, and faintly sighed. Su Yun listened quietly, and very quickly, he understood the ins and outs of the matter. It turned out that the origin of this matter had to be mentioned after the Battle of Suicide Valley. The suicide, which had captured Bai Yin Shan with the intention of nurturing him as a tool for revenge, but it was destroyed by Su Yun. The Suicide Valley was destroyed, and Bai Yin Shan's whereabouts were unknown. Bai Yin Shan was Shen Hong's disciple, and Long Xianli had always felt guilty for Shen Hong's death, thinking that her death was related to him. She knew that Shen Hong loved Bai Yin Shan a lot, so she treated Bai Yin Shan as her own disciple and took good care of him. After the suicide which kidnapped Bai Yin Shan, Long Xianli repeatedly asked the immortal sword sect leader Lin Xishan to save him, but Lin Xishan was powerless, and the Emperor Palace's Wang Tianyang also refused to help. Long Xianli was disheartened and decided not to return to the Emperor Palace. After the battle at Suicide Valley, she did not look for Bai Yin Shan again. Although she had a stubborn personality, she understood that the current Bai Yin Shan would no longer follow her back to the Immortal Sword sect. The ultimate martial world was not something that the Sky Martial Continent could compare to, and Bai Yin Shan, who had entered the ultimate martial world, was like a dragon entering the sea. Long Xianli was not a competitive person. Since the ultimate martial world had nowhere to go, he planned to return to the Sky Martial Continent, find a quiet mountain, and cultivate until his death. But things were not that simple. Just as Long Xianli was preparing to return to the Sky Martial Continent, he accidentally encountered bandits on the way, and ran all the way, coincidentally meeting young Master Fu Yu, who was traveling around to help him. Long Xianli thought that he had met a noble, and that his journey would be safe, but he did not know that he had just left the tiger's den and entered the wolf's den. When Long Xianli found out about it, he immediately escaped, but Fu Yu's cultivation was strong, and he quickly captured him. In order to prepare for the dual cultivation ceremony, Fu Yu brought Long Xianli to the Beiyang to buy materials, planning to set up a large formation and use Long Xianli to increase his own talent. After this matter reached Hu Qianmei's ears, Hu Qianmei immediately set out to rescue Long Xianli and secretly sent her back to the Sky Martial Continent. However, when this matter fell into Fu Yu's ears, it caused him to fly into a rage and immediately sent people to capture Hu Qianmei. Hu Qianmei hid in the east and west and had nowhere to run to, so he planned to hide in the house to avoid his eyes and ears. But he did not know that just as he entered the territory of the Black Fish Chamber of Commerce, he bumped into Fu Yu's people. After fighting for a while, Hu Qianmei was no match for him and could only anxiously escape towards the house. Dong! Hearing Hu Qianmei's words, Su Yun punched the wall beside him, forcefully shattering the 72 defensive enchantments on the wall. His eyes were blood red and his expression was sinister. "Who is Fu Yu?" he said sinisterly. Seeing that, Hu Qianmei was startled. He felt that not only had Su Yun's cultivation increased by a lot during this trip to the true devil sect, even his devil nature had increased by a bit. However, she was not afraid. She knew that no matter what the man in front of her turned into, he would still love her. Fu Yu is the son of the Sky Dragon Realm's Hidden Dragon Palace's palace master, the Azure Dragon. The Hidden Dragon Palace is a big sect in the Sky Dragon Realm, and is famous in the entire ultimate martial world. Its strength is on par with the Emperor Palace. The Azure Dragon has a total of 7 children, but amongst these children, he loves Fu Yu the most, because Fu Yu's cultivation is the highest, and his talent is also the strongest amongst his children. It is said that the Azure Dragon even intends to pass the Hidden Dragon Palace to Fu Yu. Since you have entered the territory of the Black Fish Chamber of Commerce, why didn't Yu help you? Su Yun asked again. In the end, Yu is a businessman. How could he dare to offend the Hidden Dragon Palace? The Spirit Cultivator S in the Beiyang are mostly related to the Chamber of Commerce, focusing on business and benefits, while the Spirit Cultivator S in the Sky Dragon region focus on cultivation. In terms of strength, the Sky Dragon region is obviously stronger than the Beiyang, so Yu does not dare to act recklessly. But he knows that you are my man. How can he remain silent? Su Yun snorted coldly, then said, "Follow me. We will go find Yu." "Big brother, what are you doing?" Hu Qianmei immediately said, only to hear 2 words coming out from between Su Yun's teeth. "Settle the score. Big brother, let's forget about it. Maybe Yu doesn't know about it." "Don't know? Everything that happens here can't escape his eyes and ears, so how could he not know?" Hearing that, Hu Qianmei did not say anything else. She knew Su Yun's temperament. As the president of the 100 Meetings Alliance, his position should be above Yu's, and the reason why Yu was able to do so was all thanks to Su Yun. Even if Yu did not dare to offend Fu Yu, he should at least think of a way to stall Fu Yu's people and provide convenience for Hu Qianmei. However, he did not do so, and instead chose to remain silent. In this way, how could Su Yun not be angry? The moment he walked out, he saw a large number of Spirit Cultivator S surrounding the door. More than half of them were passers-by, but the rest were all armored soldiers of Guyu City. The corpses on the ground were still there, and the armored soldiers surrounded the entire house. All of them drew their swords and pointed. Their killing intent was extremely heavy, and the leader of the armored soldiers was a tall and sturdy man. Seeing Su Yun and Hu Qianmei walk out from the door, all of them tensed up and stared at the 2 of them coldly. "I thought you guys wouldn't come out." The tall and sturdy man sneered, pointed at the corpses of Fu Yu's subordinates on the ground, and said coldly, "Did you kill these people?" "That's right," Su Yun said indifferently. His words did not hide anything. "Then do you know the rules of Guyu City?" The man said again. "I don't know. Since that's the case, I'll tell you." The man said coldly, "In Guyu City, fighting and killing are strictly prohibited. Anyone who violates the rules will not be harassed, and those who ignore the laws and kill will be severely punished by the city lord. Since you've killed these people, then come with us." With that, the big-sized man waved his hand and ordered his subordinates to capture Su Yun. But just then, Su Yun raised his blood-red eyes, pointed at Hu Qianmei, and coldly stared at the big-sized man and asked, "Since it's like that, then why didn't you guys stop my people when they were being chased by these bastards?" When the big-sized man heard that, his expression changed slightly. "They can ignore the law. Why can't I?" "What? Don't tell me that you only treat them as people and not us as people?" Su Yun shouted coldly again. After that, he directly took out the 100 Meetings Alliance's Alliance Leader Order from his storage ring and showed it to everyone. Chapter 684. As soon as the order was given, the entire place went silent. After an unknown period of time, a cry of surprise came out from the crowd. "This is the order of the Alliance Leader of the 100 Meetings Alliance. Could this person be Alliance Leader Su Yun?" "Alliance Leader Su? The person who destroyed the Suicide Valley? It's actually him. When did he come to Guyu City?" "The Alliance Leader is here." The passers-by whispered to each other and cried out in alarm. The big-sized man was extremely shocked, and only after a while did he come to his senses. He immediately knelt down on one knee and shouted anxiously, So it's Alliance Leader Su. This lowly one has eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. And offended Alliance Leader Su, please forgive me. Although these armored soldiers were the city lord's men, in Beiyang, the city lord was nothing. No matter which city's master it was, they were all attached to the Chamber of Commerce's financial group. And here, the Chamber of Commerce was the real master, and the person in front of him was the leader of all the Chamber of Commerce Alliance. How high was his status? Although he did not appear in front of everyone after inheriting the position of Alliance Leader of the 100 Meetings Alliance, there was no doubt about the power in his hands. If not for Su Yun, countless Chamber of Commerce would still be suffering from the exploitation of the suicide witch. Oh, you still know that I'm the Alliance Leader? Su Yun coldly snorted. Let me ask you, why are these people doing whatever they want in the city, and you guys don't care? When they die, you guys jump out to capture the culprit. The man was sweating profusely. He opened his mouth, but did not know what to say. He could only lower his head, not daring to look at Su Yun's face. Clang! At this moment, the sound of a sword being unsheathed could be heard. Everyone saw Su Yun take out the death sword again, stare at them with a gloomy face, and walk over step by step. You are so lawless. How can you be worthy of being the guards of Guyu City? In order to punish you, I will strip you of your authority and destroy your bodies. He said sinisterly. When these words fell to the ground, all the armored soldiers knelt on the ground in fear and shouted in panic. Alliance Leader, spare us. Alliance Leader, spare us. Alliance Leader, it's not that we want to ignore them. It's just that those people are young Master Fu Yu subordinates. The City Lord has already instructed us beforehand not to make things difficult for Fu Yu. Otherwise, if we anger the Hidden Dragon Temple, we will also be in big trouble. And now young Master Fu Yu's subordinate died in Guyu City. If we do not give him an explanation for the murderer, our Guyu City will have to bear the wrath of the Hidden Dragon Temple. Alliance Leader, it's not that we are heartless, it's just that we are powerless. Alliance Master, please spare us. The soldiers continued to cry out, feeling extremely wronged. Seeing that, Hu Qianmei, who was at the side, pulled Su Yun with her small hand and said, Big brother, if you think about it carefully, it does not have much to do with these people. They're just a group of servants. Why would they purposely make things difficult for me? Forget it. Since it has nothing to do with them, it must be related to the city lord and Yu. Su Yun said indifferently, then threw the order badge in his hand to the soldier and said coldly, Take my order badge. Quickly go and summon the city lord and President Yu over. Tell them, I will be waiting for them in this mansion. With that, Su Yun turned and walked towards the house. When the soldiers heard this, how could they dare to stay any longer? He quickly turned around and ran away. However, the passers-by outside did not disperse for a long time. Today, they finally saw the legendary appearance of the Alliance Leader of the 100 Meetings Alliance, and all kinds of gossip spread like wildfire. When Yu and the City Lord received the news that Su Yun had returned and summoned them, they immediately rushed towards the house. But before that, a person was one step ahead of them and walked into the luxurious cultivation room. Big brother, there's a woman outside who wants to see you. While Su Yun was still sitting cross-legged in the hall, Hu Qianmei walked in and said, A woman is looking for me? Su Yun was startled. Why are you asking me this question? Hu Qianmei snorted. You flirt with women everywhere. Who knows how many women you have an affair with? If one comes today and another comes tomorrow, I'm afraid I won't even be able to recognize them. It's not that exaggerated. Su Yun laughed bitterly. It's not that exaggerated. Let me ask you, what is your attitude toward my junior sister? Hu Qianmei suddenly asked. Hearing that, Su Yun's heart was moved. Nothing. Attitude? No attitude? My junior sister is thin-skinned and stubborn. She can't forget about you, but she doesn't dare to tell you her feelings. And now that your cultivation is getting stronger and stronger, the places you can go are getting further and further, and she knows that the distance between you and her is getting wider and wider. So she chose to return to the Sky Martial Continent and live in seclusion in the mountains. But I never thought that you wouldn't even dare to show your attitude toward her. You truly are a cowardly man. Hu Qianmei was obviously a little angry, and his mouth did not spare Su Yun. Hearing that, Su Yun was silent for a moment, but in the end, he sighed. It's hard to explain things like feelings. I admit that I actually have a good impression of Xianli, but the entanglement between me and Xianli is something that I can't explain in a short period of time, but I believe that one day I will tell her everything. Qianmei, now is not the time to talk about this. Let's talk about it after I see that woman. With that, Su Yun stood up and walked out. Hu Qianmei did not say anything. In fact, this matter could not be completely blamed on Su Yun. The matter was already at this point. Long Xianli had already returned to the Sky Martial Continent. It was useless to talk about it now. It seemed like he would have to talk about it when Su Yun returned to the Sky Martial Continent. When Su Yun walked towards the door, he saw a luxurious carriage parked in front of the door. On the left and right of the carriage were guards and maids. Although their cultivations were not high, the things they wore were extremely valuable. Su Yun's gaze moved and swept across the two words on the carriage frame. Huairou. So it's you, Muyu. Su Yun smiled. A slim and elegant lady walked out from the carriage. She was dressed in light yellow clothes with a red hairpin on her head. She had light eyebrows, vermilion lips, and snow-white skin. She was extremely beautiful. He never thought that Huairou Muyu would put on some makeup today. She took a few steps forward, bowed to Su Yun, and said, Huairou Muyu greets Lord Alliance Leader. Ugh, Muyu, there's no need to be so polite. Su Yun was not used to it, and immediately said, Come in and talk. Yes. Huairou Muyu nodded, and was about to step in. Big brother, who is this woman? Hu Qianmei jumped out from behind Su Yun, circled around Huairou Muyu, and could not help but ask, I'm a friend. Why you keep making friends with beautiful women? Hu Qianmei puffed his cheeks. He was a little angry. Hearing that, Su Yun felt helpless. He understood Hu Qianmei's temperament and knew that the girl would not be jealous. But the two of them had just finished talking about Long Xianli, and now Huairou Muyu had popped out. It would be a lie to say that she did not have a knot in her heart. Although Hu Qianmei and Long Xianli had misunderstood each other for many years and had fought for many years, but today they had long regarded each other as their own family. Hu Qianmei had been an orphan since she was young and was half human and half demon. She had been bullied since she was young, and if not for her master taking care of her, she would have died a long time ago. And Long Xianli, who had grown up with her, had naturally become her own little sister in her eyes. It could be said that in this world, other than Su Yun, Hu Qianmei cared about Long Xianli the most. Huairou Muyu bowed to Hu Qianmei, but did not say anything. Hu Qianmei could not be bothered with her, and walked towards the hall in a fit of pique. Entering the hall, Hu Qianmei sat cross-legged in the array to heal her injuries, but her pair of charming eyes would open from time to time, secretly peeking at Su Yun and Huairou Muyu. Su Yun did not bother with Hu Qianmei, and started chatting with Huairou Muyu. When Su Yun first left the Beiyang, he had instructed He Yu to take care of the Huairou aristocratic family that was about to enter the Beiyang. Huairou Muyu led the people from the Chamber of Commerce into the Beiyang, and was indeed supported by He Yu. He first allocated the markets of 3 cities to Huairou Muyu because the Huairou aristocratic family was extremely famous in the Gathering Heart realm, and there were many people in the Beiyang who were acquainted with them. In addition to Huairou Muyu's own talent in business, the Huairou aristocratic family rose very quickly, and in less than a year, they had occupied a place in the Chamber of Commerce. However, from then on, He Yu rarely interacted with the Huairou Chamber of Commerce. Su Yun knew that He Yu did not want to nurture a strong enemy, not to mention that this strong enemy had a deep relationship with Su Yun. The Beiyang realm was different from the Gathering Heart realm. Whether it was the resources or the market, they were all much stronger than the Gathering Heart realm. Furthermore, the Chamber of Commerce here was much more prosperous than the Gathering Heart realm. When Huairou Muyu entered the Beiyang, he was like a dragon entering the sea, displaying his fists and feet. Not long after he chatted with Huairou Muyu, He Yu and the city lord of Guyu City, Li Gushi, rushed over. The two of them stepped into the hall and looked at Su Yun, who was sitting on a chair. They walked up and cupped their fists. Greetings, Alliance Leader. There's no need to be so polite. Sit. Su Yun waved his hand and said, Thank you, Alliance Leader. The two of them sat down. Li Gushi was a little uneasy. His expression was absent-minded. No one knew what he was thinking, but He Yu, on the other hand, had a calm expression without any uneasiness. Su Yun sized up the two of them. Then his gaze landed on Li Gushi's body. This was a man who looked to be in his 30s. He had a buzz cut, wore a blue robe, and had a cape on his back. He had a small beard on his mouth, and had a heroic aura. You must be the city lord of Guyu City, Li Gushi. Speaking of which, this is the first time we've met. Su Yun said, Gushi, to be able to see Lord Alliance Leader's glory today is truly the fortune of 3 lifetimes. Li Gushi hurriedly said, Fortune of 3 lifetimes? I don't dare. Su Yun shook his head, and then asked indifferently, City Lord Li, I asked you to come here today. I just want to ask, in this Guyu City, if any spirit cultivator fights and abuses profound skills, what punishment will they receive? The light punishment is to be sent to prison for 3 to 5 years. The heavy punishment is to have one's cultivation destroyed. Li Gushi hurriedly said, Who set this rule? Within the borders of Beiyang, every city, village, and village has this rule. Then why did you change the rules without permission? Ignore the law. Su Yun's face suddenly turned cold. His voice rose an octave, and he berated in a deep voice. With that said, Li Gushi's face changed. Lord Alliance Leader, what do you mean by that? What did I change it? Chapter 685. Seeing Li Gushi's terrified look, Su Yun secretly snorted. Are you still not going to admit it? If you did not tamper with the city rules of the Beiyang, then why did you allow your subordinates to do so? Everyone knows that someone is causing trouble in the city today, but your subordinates are turning a blind eye to it. What? Could it be that your subordinates don't know the rules? Ignore the law. If that's the case, then even if you condone your subordinates, you will still be guilty of dereliction of duty. This, Li Gushi's face changed. He was speechless. For a moment, he didn't know how to reply, and was completely dumbfounded. After all, he did not know the relationship between Miss Qian Mei and the Alliance Leader. Furthermore, this time, Miss Qian Mei has offended the son of the Hidden Dragon Palace Lord, Fu Yu. Fu Yu is deeply favored by the Hall Master, and the Hidden Dragon Palace will definitely be succeeded by Fu Yu in the future. If we offend Fu Yu, I'm afraid that Guyu City and the Heiyu Chamber of Commerce will be attacked and retaliated against by the Hidden Dragon Palace. Just then, Heiyu spoke up. He spoke calmly, but with every word he said, the flesh on his body would tremble a little. Su Yun opened his eyes and looked at him. At the moment, his eyes were turning from black to red. Is it because of this? That's why you did not save Hu Qianmei? Su Yun said indifferently. Hearing that, Heiyu's expression changed slightly, but he did not reveal much shock. He stood up and cupped his fist towards Su Yun. Alliance Leader, it's not that I'm unrighteous, but it's because the Heiyu Chamber of Commerce and even the 100 Meetings Alliance cannot afford to offend the Hidden Dragon Palace. If we interfere with young Master Fu Yu's vengeful personality, the Heiyu Chamber of Commerce will definitely be destroyed in the future. I understand, Su Yun said expressionlessly. You did right. You are a businessman, so I do not blame you. But from today onwards, the Heiyu Chamber of Commerce will be removed from the 100 Meetings Alliance, and your Heiyu Chamber of Commerce will exist as an independent chamber of commerce within the borders of the Beiyang. Do you have any objections? Although Su Yun said it like that, he was truly angry in his heart. Heiyu did it for the sake of profit, but Su Yun had given him a lot of benefits and almost handed over the entire Beiyang to him. However, at this point, he was still focused on the benefits. How could Su Yun not be angry? Now that the Chamber of Commerce in the Beiyang was unified when Huairou Muyu's Chamber of Commerce entered the Beiyang, they had to join the 100 Meetings Alliance. How could they tolerate any Chamber of Commerce existing alone? However, Heiyu did not panic. He only gently shook his head. Alliance Master, are you trying to destroy my Black Fish Merchant Guild? If others treat me right, I will definitely return the favor. If others do not care about me, then why should I care about others? Su Yun said calmly. Alliance Master is right, but what do you think is the use of this? The 100 Meetings Alliance can lack any Chamber of Commerce, but it cannot lack the Heiyu Chamber of Commerce. Heiyu also said expressionlessly. Hearing that, Su Yun frowned. But very quickly, he understood the meaning behind it. In other words, the true alliance master of the 100 Meetings Alliance should be He Yu. After Su Yun left the Beiyang, he began to quickly integrate all the large and small Chamber of Commerce in the Beiyang. The financial market, everything was handled by him. The other Chamber of Commerce had the most contact with He Yu, and the one who understood the most was also He Yu. As for Su Yun, everyone's impression of him only stopped at the Battle of Suicide Valley. Maybe Su Yun's cultivation was strong, but the 100 Meetings Alliance was already together. How could they be afraid of Su Yun? I see. Su Yun stood up and took off the order badge from his waist. He looked at the order badge, then threw it on the ground and said indifferently, "Since things have come to this, I, Su Yun, have nothing to say. It's fine if I don't take the position of Alliance Master. I'll return it to you." After that, he turned his head and said to Hu Qianmei, "Qianmei, let's go." Yes. Hu Qianmei nodded. She did not miss this place. In the end, He Yu was still a merchant. In the past, he had given in to Su Yun because he was afraid of his strength, but now that He Yu's strength had grown and the Black Fish Chamber of Commerce had become the #1 Chamber of Commerce in the Beiyang, his fear of Su Yun was already negligible, and the appearance of Fu Yu had caused his fear to start to change. "Since Su Yun, you want to leave? It's boring for me to stay in the Beiyang. I will bring our Chamber of Commerce to leave the Beiyang. Su Yun, let's go together." At this time, Huaro Muyu also stood up and said indifferently, "Muyu, are you serious?" Su Yun was slightly surprised. "Can you still joke about this?" "All right." Su Yun nodded and then walked straight out of the door. However, just as he took a few steps, a light flashed outside the door, and a few figures appeared. Following that, a loud laughter came out from the light. "Go. How could it be so easy? If you don't give me an explanation, where do you want to go?" As the sound of his voice faded, a handsome young master with red hair and a red robe stepped through the door. This young master was dressed in an embroidered red robe and held a folding fan in his hand. His skin was fair, and his long hair was like flames. The attendants beside him were all dressed in embroidered clothes and equipped with glowing weapons. Their cultivations were not ordinary. "Who are you?" Su Yun asked. "This is young Master Fu Yu." Without waiting for the man to speak, He Yu suddenly stood up and said, "Oh, no wonder." The corner of Su Yun's mouth curled up slightly. "So you and Fu Yu have long been in cahoots. It can't be said to be a group. Alliance leader He Yu is just doing his duty as a host and helping me solve some annoying problems." Fu Yu waved his fan and laughed. "I, Fu Yu, have traveled far and wide and have never suffered a loss, but I did not want to fall into the hands of this fox demon. If I do not seek justice, and this matter spreads back to the Heavenly Dragon region, how would I have the face to stand in the Heavenly Dragon region? Therefore, this fox demon must die. I can die, but you must let Su Yun go." Hu Qianmei clenched her teeth and suddenly stood up and shouted. Fu Yu came from the Sky Dragon region and was also the son of the Hidden Dragon Palace's Hall Master. His cultivation was definitely not ordinary, and the guards by his side were probably not ordinary people. Hu Qianmei had fought with these people before and knew that he would not be able to escape this time, so it was better to protect Su Yun first. But the moment she stood up, she was forcefully pulled back by Su Yun. "What nonsense are you saying? How can you just admit defeat like this?" Su Yun reprimanded. "Big brother, we can't beat them. All of their cultivations are above the 4th stage of the Sky Spirit Master. And that Fu Yu's cultivation is even higher. If it's just him alone, he is not afraid. But with so many people here, we will definitely suffer a loss if we fight against him. Fu Yu's goal is me. He hopes to force out the whereabouts of Junior's sister from my mouth, so it has nothing to do with you. As long as I die, he will definitely not make things difficult for you." Hu Qianmei said in a low voice. "That's too simple of a thought." Su Yun shook his head. "For you might let me go, but hey, you definitely won't. I finally understand now." The reason why he turned to Fu Yu was because he wanted to sit on the master of the Beiyang. Back then, he recommended me to be the alliance leader because my cultivation was strong and my reputation was high, but he was actually unwilling in his heart. And now that my reputation is not as good as his, and with Fu Yu supporting him, how can he be indifferent? If I do not die today, he will not be able to sleep or eat in peace, So even if I hand you over to Fu Yu, I will not be at peace." Hearing that, Hu Qianmei was startled for a moment, then said angrily, "Truly an ungrateful, despicable person. I also have times when I make a mistake." Su Yin shook his head, feeling extremely helpless. "Let's fight them to the death. We have to fight, but our strength is obviously not enough. We still need to call for some help." With that said, Su Yin secretly took out a pitch-black order badge and injected some profound qi into it. "Su Yin, what is your attitude? Hurry up and say it. If you are willing to hand the fox demon over to young Master Fu Yu and promise to leave the Beiyang forever, we can let you go." Seeing that Su Yin did not say a word and only pulled Hu Qianmei, who knew what he was thinking, he immediately shouted, "Previously, I had planned to leave the Beiyang and did not want to come here again, but you guys forced me to stay. Since you don't want me to leave, then fine, I will be the master of the Beiyang again." Su Yin said indifferently. Hearing that, Heiyu's face changed. "What do you mean by that?" Su Yin did not make a sound, and only gently closed his eyes. Fu Yu also seemed to feel that something was amiss. He did not waste any time and shouted in a low voice, "Take down the fox demon first. As for the rest, kill them all." "Yes, sir." The subordinates beside him responded, and then rushed towards Su Yun in unison. Seeing that, Hu Qianmei immediately took out the true dragon city, summoned the vigorous golden dragon image, and charged towards the incoming spirit cultivator. The room was immediately destroyed, and the spirit cultivators were also scattered by the sudden appearance of the golden dragon. Their deep roars resounded throughout the entire Guyu city. Seeing that, Fu Yu's eyes shone with a golden light. "It's this divine object again. How could such a treasure fall into your hands? What a waste of a heavenly treasure. It's better for me to use it." Fu Yu shouted, "You don't have to be polite. If you can capture him, then capture him. If you can't, then kill him. Even if I only want this treasure, it's enough." Hearing that, the attendants did not hold back and attacked Hu Qianmei ruthlessly one by one. Naturally, Su Yin would not just stand at the side and stare. He immediately pulled out the death sword and slashed towards the servants. His speed was extremely fast. Everyone could only see many afterimages passing through the hall, and after the afterimages, there was a hair-raising sword intent. Seeing that, Fu Yu's face changed. 5th stage of Sky Spirit Master. This person was only at the 5th stage of the Sky Spirit Master. How could he display such astonishing strength? Was this speed something that a 5th stage Sky Spirit Master cultivator should have? In the blink of an eye, 2 people had their throats sliced by the death sword and died miserably. Huairou Miyu would not just stand at the side and watch. Although she was also a merchant, she was different from Heiyu. She also cared about benefits, but she cherished Su Yun as a friend even more. Huairou Miyu joined the battle, and the servants that came with her also rushed in. They attacked Fu Yu, Heiyu, and the others from the front and back, and the situation slightly changed. However, how could Fu Yu be an ordinary person? The servants that he brought along were all experts from the Hidden Dragon Palace, and it was impossible for Huairou Muyu's men to do anything to them. Furthermore, Hu Qianmei had been fleeing for his life, and his injuries had not healed yet, so he was even more unable to unleash his full strength. Puchi! The crisp sound of flesh and blood being separated rang out. Su Yin waved his sword again and killed a few people. Heiyu, who was standing beside Fu Yu, was already trembling in his heart. At this moment, Su Yun's cultivation seemed to be much higher than when he was in the Suicide Valley. Chapter 686. City Lord Li, quickly gather the elites in the city and come here to support us. Surround and annihilate Su Yun. Heiyu called out to Li Gushi, who was still in a daze. Li Gushi returned to his senses. His face was filled with hesitation. He did not know whether he should go or not, but Heiyu's fat face turned cold. A cold light shone from his bean-sized eyes. "City Lord Li, why aren't you going?" "What? Do you think that I, Heiyu, cannot take care of this Su Yin?" No. Absolutely not." Li Gushi immediately waved his hands, his forehead full of sweat. With that said, he hardened his heart and made a decision, turning around and rushing out. Seeing that, Yu turned his head and said to Fu Yu, "Young master, this Su Yun is not easy to deal with. If we do not kill him here today, he will definitely become a problem for us in the future." "It's your future trouble. What does it have to do with me?" Fu Yu laughed disdainfully. "What threat can a bastard pose to me? Could it be that he dares to cause trouble in the Hidden Dragon Palace?" Yu lowered his head and did not say a word. Seeing that, Fu Yu laughed. All right. Alliance leader Yu, don't worry. Today, this Su Yun will not be able to leave this place. The control of the Bei Yang can only be held in your hands." With that, Fu Yu suddenly turned around, his sword eyes releasing a sharp, killing intent. He raised his hand and waved it forward. However, he did not attack Su Yun, but instead went straight for Hu Qianmei, who was surrounded by the three spirit cultivators, Bada. Fu Yu's hand suddenly became illusory. His wrist was empty, and his palm directly flew out, fiercely grabbing onto Hu Qianmei's white neck. "Come here!" Fu Yu bellowed. His hand grabbed Hu Qianmei and directly turned back, bringing him back to Fu Yu's side. Hu Qianmei's petite body continued to struggle, but to no avail. Fu Yu's cultivation was at least at the 8th stage of the Sky Spirit Master. Although she had the true Dragon City, how could she be Fu Yu's match with her injured body? Su Yun, who was still fighting with the spirit cultivator, noticed that Hu Qianmei was captured and immediately rushed over to save her. But Fu Yu spoke up. "If you dare to come over, I will break her neck and destroy her soul." As Fu Yu spoke, he activated the profound strength, and with his other hand, he took out a silver needle. The needle flickered with a demonic green flame, and the tip of the needle was pointed at Hu Qianmei. Seeing that, Su Yun frowned, and his body could not help but stop. The corner of Fu Yu's mouth raised into a complacent smile. You're indeed very fast. However, if you believe in your speed and think that I'm not as fast as you, then feel free to make your move. Let's see who is faster. What do you want?" Su Yun said calmly. "It's simple." Fu Yu laughed. "Throw away your sword and remove your sword sheath as well." Su Yun thought that he was the only one who would do such a despicable method, but he never thought that Fu Yu would not give in either. He had seen it for himself. "Don't, brother. Don't be like this. You've lost your weapon. You're no match for him." Hu Qianmei grabbed onto Fu Yu's hand and said with difficulty, "You speak as if he has a sword and is my match." Fu Yu shrugged his shoulders, stared at Su Yun, and laughed. "What are you hesitating for? Why aren't you doing it?" Clang, clang. However, Su Yun threw the death sword in his hand onto the ground without hesitation. At the same time, he removed the sword sheath from his waist and threw it onto the ground without any hesitation. When Yu and Fu Yu saw this, their originally complacent expressions froze. How could he be so happy? Fu Yu frowned. He looked at Su Yun carefully, as though he was worried that he was still hiding something. However, Yu could not hold it in any longer and scolded the experts of the Hidden Dragon Palace surrounding Su Yun. "What are you all still standing there for? Go straight for Su Yun." "Yes, sir." Everyone regained their senses and immediately surrounded Su Yun. Su Yun wanted to retaliate, but just then, Fu Yu laughed coldly. "Su Yun, if you resist, I will immediately kill her." "You're so despicable," Su Yun said indifferently. "So what? Ha ha ha. In my eyes, you're just a rat waiting to die. If I want to kill you, it will be as easy as flipping my hand. Right now, I'm just playing with you." Fu Yu laughed. "If you resist, she will die. If you don't resist, you will die. I want to see just how important is the position of this fox demon in your heart." With that said, Hu Qianmei gritted her teeth in anger, but she felt as if her neck was being grabbed by two pincers, unable to move, unable to struggle free. And Huairo Muyu could not even protect herself at the moment. So there was no need to talk about supporting Su Yun. The situation was extremely critical. "Young Master Fu Yu, it's better to quickly finish this so that there won't be any problems," Yu said uneasily. "Don't worry, what other tricks can he come up with?" Fu Yu laughed disdainfully. However, in the next second, Su Yun's actions caused him to be shocked. He didn't attack, but defended himself. He quickly took out a flag from his storage ring and activated it. A circle of qi enveloped his body, and when the sharp blades hit the Chi's shield, it was as if they were hitting steel. They couldn't penetrate it at all. What a strong defense. This must be Imperial equipment. Fu Yu's eyes lit up again, and then shouted at Su Yun, "Throw this magic treasure away. Quick!" Hearing that, Su Yun raised his head and looked at him, then shook his head. "I refuse." With that said, Yu, Huaro Muyu, and the rest were all shocked. "Oh, do you want her dead?" The corner of Fu Yu's mouth raised into a playful smile. "She won't die." Su Yun still shook his head. "You can save her?" Hee hee, I want to see what kind of ability you have to be able to save her from my hands in one piece. Fu Yu's smile became more and more playful. However, Su Yun still shook his head. "Save her in one piece? I can't do it." "Then you should compromise." "No need. Although I can't do it, someone else can." The corner of Su Yun's mouth suddenly raised into a sinister smile. Fu Yu was startled. "Me?" A crisp and melodious voice suddenly exploded from above. Immediately after, a figure descended from the sky, and with lightning speed, it instantly landed beside Fu Yu. His speed was too fast, almost close to the speed of light. When his body landed, without waiting for Fu Yu to react, a demon's sword slashed over, directly cutting off Fu Yu's hand that was tightly holding onto Hu Qianmei. Pata! Hu Qianmei fell to the ground, while Fu Yu was stunned for a moment. Then, the heart-wrenching pain on his wrist woke him up. "Ah!" He screamed in pain a few times and hurriedly retreated. He staggered, and his expression was one of astonishment. Fresh blood splattered all over the ground. The sudden change shocked everyone. "Who is it?" Yu shouted anxiously. "Who am I? You guys don't even know me, so why waste your breath?" The person who suddenly appeared smiled and said with a clear voice. Yu and the pale-faced Fu Yu looked over, only to see an incomparably skinny man wearing a loose robe appear in the hall. The man's expression was young and tender, and he looked extremely delicate and pretty, as if he was a half-grown child. He looked rather feminine, but the pitch-black demon sword in his hand was filled with killing intent. Looking at the devil chi that was overflowing from this person's body, the two of them immediately understood that this was the devil cultivator. Su Yun quickly walked over and helped Hu Qianmei up, only to see that Hu Qianmei's neck had been pinched and she was coughing nonstop. Fu Yu not only used her strength, but also profound strength. Even if she was a spirit cultivator, she would not be able to withstand such strength. "Are you all right?" Su Yun asked. "I'm fine." Hu Qianmei coughed a few times, took a deep breath. As though he had thought of something, he immediately recalled his weapon, intending to fight again. Seeing that, Su Yun laughed bitterly. He walked to the side of Octagon Aniseed, glanced at Fu Yu and Yu, and said indifferently, "Vice Sect Leader, this person is the son of the Hall Master of the Hidden Dragon Temple. I do not know much about this Hidden Dragon Temple. May I ask, can the true Devil Sect afford to offend the Hidden Dragon Temple?" "What do you mean?" "If I can afford to offend him, then I will kill him. If I can't afford to offend him, then I will bear with it," Su Yun said indifferently. Hearing that, Octagon Aniseed laughed out loud. "Ha ha! Demon Lord, oh, Demon Lord, you are too cute." His laughter confused everyone, and only after long while did he stop laughing. Forget about his small hidden dragon temple being a small mountain sect in front of my true devil sect. It is not even worth mentioning. Even if he really has the strength to fight against my true devil sect and offend my demon lord, how can we let him off so easily? With that said, he pointed the demon's sword at Fu Yu, and a terrifying, sinister smile appeared on his delicate and pretty face. "Lord Demon Lord, you just need to kill. There is no need to worry. My true devil sect will never consider too much when doing things. At most, take care of his hidden dragon temple as well." As he spoke, his killing intent surged. If that's the case, then it's too easy. Su Yun's eyes turned blood red. He stared at Fu Yu coldly and walked towards him step by step. When he passed by the death sword on the ground flew up by itself and landed in his hand. With a hua sound, the pitch-black evil sword erupted with a torrential devil chi, like a devil fire. At this moment, Yu and Fu Yu were shocked speechless. True devil sect? Demon lord? Vice sect leader? What are they talking about? Su Yin, could it be that you have already entered the true devil sect? He Yu's voice trembled. The fat on his face swayed along with his trembling body, and his indifferent face finally revealed a look of fear. That's right, Su Yun said indifferently. I'm already the demon lord of the true devil sect, and this person is the vice sect leader of the true devil sect, Octagon Aniseed. Hey Yu, I originally did not have much interest in the Beiyang, and did not have much interest in the position of Alliance Leader of the 100 Meetings Alliance. If you did not betray me, you would still be the true ruler of the Beiyang, but you were greedy and wanted to harm me. As Su Yun spoke, he raised his sword and walked towards Heiyu. This time, he would not forgive anyone. Chapter 687. Heiyu seemed to sense the approach of death. With a furious roar, he pulled out a pitch-black doll from somewhere with his chubby hand and smashed it on the ground. With a loud bang, the ground exploded and shockwaves spread out in all directions. Huiro Muyu, Hu Qianmei and the rest of the servants all retreated. Only Chi-Chi and Su Yun completely ignored the impact and did not retreat even half a step. After the explosion, the pitch-black cloth doll came to life, and its body expanded rapidly, only stopping when it was nearly 5 meters tall. The moment the doll appeared, it opened its mouth and spat out a large amount of acid-like liquid. Su Yun took out his imperial equipment and blocked all of them. Although the doll was a magic treasure and its grade was not low, there was no doubt that it could not stop Su Yun. Heiyu also knew this very well. After the doll appeared, he immediately turned around to run. However, before he could even step out of the door, a pitch-black demonic tiger suddenly rushed over and attacked his back. Caught off guard, Heiyu was directly knocked over by the demonic tiger. His back was torn apart, and the demonic tiger exploded. Heiyu's fat, round body was immediately sent flying. His profound energy had collapsed, unable to provide any protection for him at all. When he landed on the ground, he vomited a few mouthfuls of blood and struggled to get up. Looking at the doll, it had long been torn into pieces by Su Yun's death sword. This is impossible. Fu Yu had long been petrified, seeing the strength that Su Yun had displayed. His eyes were filled with disbelief and shock. The strength that Su Yun had displayed was most likely able to contend against an existence at the 8th or even 9th stage of the Sky Spirit Master. But his aura was clearly only at the 5th stage. How could this be? Su Yun had purposely removed the effect of Long Zhen's wristband, allowing Fu Yu to see through his cultivation. His goal was to make Fu Yu careless, but he did not expect that Fu Yu was not as simple as being careless, but had completely overturned his understanding of Spirit Cultivator by Su Yun. Su Yun raised his sword and walked step by step towards Heiyu, who was trembling on the ground. There was no pity in his blood-red eyes. Su Yun, a large amount of blood flowed out of Heiyu's nose and mouth. He tried his best to get up, but it was difficult. The chi meridian in his body had already been shattered by the demon tiger. Su Yun did not say a word. He only raised his sword and prepared to kill Heiyu. Don't kill me. If you let me go, I'm willing to sincerely help you take care of the Beiyang, take care of the 100 Meetings Alliance. Heiyu looked at the raised sword and immediately shouted, "Once bitten, twice shy. Do you think I'll trust you again? Furthermore, I don't need anyone to take care of Beiyang for me," Su Yun said indifferently. Hearing that, Heiyu opened his mouth, and a dark light floated in his bean-sized eyes. He knew that as matters stood, begging for mercy was almost impossible. Although he did not have much contact with Su Yun, he understood his temperament. Towards a traitor, who would tolerate it? Thinking of the past, Heiyu felt like his heart had been knocked over. It was extremely complicated. In fact, before he met Su Yun, his ambition was not that huge. At that time, he only wanted to develop the Heiyu Chamber of Commerce, fight for a place in the Beiyang, earn profound coin-s, and raise his cultivation. However, after meeting Su Yun, he continuously benefited, and the Heiyu Chamber of Commerce continued to grow stronger. Especially after the Battle of Suicide Valley, he could almost be said to be the biggest winner. Not only did he unify the Beiyang Chamber of Commerce through this battle, He even allowed the Heiyu Chamber of Commerce to sit on the throne of the number 1 Chamber of Commerce in the Beiyang. With the crazy convergence of benefits, Heiyu's ambitions also gradually expanded. Although he was the actual ruler of the Beiyang, he could not bear the fact that there was still an alliance leader above him. He suddenly regretted letting Su Yun be the alliance leader, and suddenly he wanted to be the true master of the Beiyang, be the alliance leader of the 100 Meetings Alliance, and then take down the other Chamber of Commerce one by one, completely turning the Beiyang into his own private property. However, although the idea was wonderful, it was just a pipe dream. Heiyu was originally an extremely shrewd businessman, but this time he was blinded by greed, especially with the appearance of Fu Yu, who gave him an extreme sense of security. His greed became even more exuberant. It's really Su Yun who succeeded, and Su Yun who failed. I have nothing to say. One wrong step, and everything will be lost. Since things have come to this, you can kill me. Heiyu spat out the blood in his mouth, took a deep breath, and said weakly. Su Yun stared at Heiyu's pale and fat face, and after a long silence, he said, I can tolerate everything, but there is one thing that I cannot tolerate no matter what. Is it betrayal? No. Su Yun shook his head, but someone who hurt my loved ones, he said in a low voice. Hearing that, Heiyu's eyes immediately widened. In the next second, Su Yun's sharp sword had already slashed over, directly chopping off Heiyu's head. Not only that, Heiyu's overflowing soul was also completely destroyed by Su Yun. Heiyu was completely dead. This person, who was known to everyone in Beiyang, had died in Guyu City today. This time, Heiyu had reaped what he sowed. In fact, in the end, he still did not understand Su Yun. After taking care of Heiyu, Su Yun turned around and looked at Fu Yu. At this moment, Fu Yu's heart was already jumping out of his chest. He was flustered and lifeless. Seeing Su Yun's blood-red eyes looking at him, he finally squeezed out a sinister word from between his teeth. Kill. Kill them all. Kill them all. When Fu Yu's subordinates heard this, they all recovered from their shock and took action to kill Su Yun and Chi-Chi, however. The moment they made their move, Octagon Aniseed also made his move. His body only swayed for a moment before he stopped moving. When he looked again, all of the hidden Dragon Palace attendants around him had a transparent bloody hole in their chests. His 8-teeth hands were actually holding onto a large pile of blood-red, fresh hearts. They were like apples. Seeing that, Fu Yu trembled with fear. The attendants all fell to the ground and died. This method was no longer something that an existence of the Sky Spirit Master could possess. Chi-Chi's cultivation was definitely a super strong expert above the Spirit Emperor. With such an expert supporting him, what was there for Su Yun to be afraid of? Even if he, Fu Yu, was the son of the Hidden Dragon Palace's Hall Master, it would be useless. Although the Hidden Dragon Palace was powerful, other than the Hall Master, who else was in existence of the Spirit Emperor? Hu Qianmei had long been stunned by the strength that Chi-Chi had displayed. Although she had experienced a lot and was knowledgeable, this was the first time she had seen an existence with a cultivation like Chi-Chi-Chi in the blink of an eye. How many Sky Spirit Master existences had he killed? The other party didn't even have the chance to retaliate. Su Yun carried the death sword and walked towards Fu Yu step by step. At this moment, Fu Yu was already alone. Heiyu had died tragically, and all the experts of the Hidden Dragon Palace had been slaughtered by Chi-Chi now. He was alone and helpless and could only surrender. Fu Yu's face was covered in perspiration, looking at Su Yun, who was walking towards him step by step. His eyes were filled with uncontrollable shock. You, don't kill me. All of this is actually a misunderstanding. I didn't know that you were from the True Devil sect. If I knew, I would definitely not mess around with Heiyu. Please let me go, okay? Fu Yu swallowed his saliva and said with a trembling voice, Do you only know how to regret it now? It's already too late. If you had offended someone else, it would have been fine, but this is my True Devil sect's Demon Lord. If you offend him, not to mention the Demon Lord being willing to forgive you, my True Devil sect will not forgive you either. Octagon Aniseed chuckled. Su Yun was not agile either. He immediately raised his sword and killed. Fu Yu roared, turned around, and ran. If it was just Su Yun alone, Fu Yu might have mustered up the courage to fight, but there was still an octagon aniseed behind Su Yun. How could he have the guts to fight with him? The only choice he had was to escape. In terms of speed, how could he be Su Yun's match? Su Yun instantly threw out the death sword in his hand and attacked. At the same time, he activated the limitless sword sheath, and a large number of flying swords rushed towards Fu Yu like eagles pouncing on their prey. Thousands of peerlessly terrifying flying swords formed a huge sword net, completely surrounding Fu Yu. Almost all of the spirit cultivators in Guyu City saw this spectacular and tragic scene. Although Su Yun was at the 5th stage of the Sky Spirit Master, his crazy cultivation in the quiet world had long allowed his strength to be comparable to the 9th stage of the Sky Spirit Master. Killing Fu Yu was as easy as flipping his hand. Under the siege of the group of swords, Fu Yu was no match for them. He was sliced into pieces and died miserably. His soul was also destroyed. Since he had formed an enmity with the Hidden Dragon Palace, Su Yun was not afraid. Even without the support of the True Devil Sect, he would still choose to kill Fu Yu because he had violated the bottom line that Su Yun could not violate, using his own family to threaten him. In both his previous life and this life, this was not allowed. It's finally over. Octagon Aniseed exhaled, smiled, and walked over, patted Su Yun's shoulder, and laughed. This time, you owe me a favor, Demon Lord. Yes. Su Yun nodded. But speaking of which, I was lucky. I just so happened to be working in the ultimate martial world. The moment I received your news, I immediately rushed over. Vice Sect Leader, I have killed Fu Yu today. I am afraid that the Hidden Dragon Palace will hold a grudge against the True Devil Sect. Although the Hidden Dragon Palace is no match for the True Devil Sect, if they were to make small movements in the dark, it would still be difficult to guard against them. Su Yun turned his head and said seriously to Octagon Aniseed, I understand what you mean. Octagon Aniseed laughed and said, I will send an envoy to the Hidden Dragon Palace to negotiate with the Hall Master to see their attitude. If their attitude is unyielding, I do not mind taking the Hidden Dragon Palace again. If their attitude is friendly, then let's forget about it for now. This matter is also reasonable. After all, this blind thing has offended our Devil Sect's Demon Lord. The Demon Lord has been humiliated. How can we easily understand it? Speaking of which, I still have to find that Azure Dragon to question. If we can handle it properly, that would naturally be for the best. Su Yun exhaled and kept his sword. Chapter 688. Once Heiyu died, the Chamber of Commerce would definitely be in chaos. Without a leader, the Chamber of Commerce would probably attract the attention of other Chamber of Commerce, and at that time, the Chamber of Commerce would fight to divide up the Chamber of Commerce, and the 100 Meetings Alliance would definitely break down. Su Yun, I never thought that you would actually become the Demon Lord of the True Devil Sect. Huayra Muyu walked over and looked at Su Yun with a complicated look in his eyes. From start to finish, they had not been separated for long, but when they met again, it was a world of difference from before. It was just a coincidence. Su Yun laughed, and then introduced himself to the two girls and Octagon Aniseed. TSK, I really couldn't tell that the dignified Vice Sect Master of the True Devil Sect would actually look so young and tender. Hu Qianmei was still not used to it. She looked left and right around Octagon Aniseed, looking at his white and soft face, and could not help but want to reach out and pinch him, but thinking about how he had instantly taken out the hearts of 7 or 8 spirit cultivators and chewed them like he was eating a fruit, the hand that was stretched out immediately froze, and after laughing twice, he immediately hid behind Su Yun, obviously afraid of Octagon Aniseed. Appearance is not important. Actually, I am a very kind person. Octagon Aniseed laughed. His smile was extremely bright. He did not look like a devil cultivator at all. Su Yun knew that he was pretending again, and could not be bothered with him. He turned and said to Huayra Muyu, Muyu, with Heiyu's death, the Beiyang that has just been unified will probably be in chaos again. The 100 Meetings Alliance still needs to be maintained. This is a huge resource that cannot be wasted. If I can control it, I can earn an endless stream of profound coin and obtain an endless stream of cultivation. So, I must integrate the 100 Meetings Alliance. The current you is no longer the same as before. With the true devil sect as your backer, the Chamber of Commerce and the Bei Yang will not dare to disobey. You can replace Hey You and continue to be the alliance leader of the 100 Meetings Alliance. Huayro Muyu said softly. Hearing that, Suyin could not help but shake his head. Muyu, you know me, I don't know anything about business. Handing over the position of alliance leader to me is simply a waste of a heavenly gift. Furthermore, it's better for the true devil sect not to get involved in the matters of the Bei Yang. After all, the true devil sect has a lot of things to deal with. If the Bei Yang and the true devil sect are related, I'm afraid there will be endless trouble. The true devil sect had many enemies. If Bei Yang and the true devil sect were to get involved, Bei Yang would only be unlucky. Hey, Demon Lord, your words are wrong. What happened to our real devil sect? Isn't that good? Octagon Aniseed immediately said in dissatisfaction. Suyin glanced at him, but did not refute and continued. Muyu, after this incident with Hey You, I have decided to give the position of alliance leader to someone I trust. Who are you going to give it to? Me? Huayro Muyu was silent for a moment. I will help you organize the 100 Meetings Alliance. You? Aren't you afraid that I'll betray you like Hey You? The problem is that you are different from Hey You. Suyin laughed. Furthermore, if you really betray me, I will admit it. Hearing that, Huayro Muyu remained silent for a long time. In front of the Supreme Gate. At this moment, the huge and grand gate was in complete chaos. Close to 1,000 Supreme Sect disciples were already fighting with Jesus I and the others. Both sides were fighting fiercely, and it was difficult to separate them. The reason why he came here was to fight with Su Luluo, and fighting with so many Supreme Sect people was not what he wanted. However, the people of Supreme Sect never talked about worldly morality, the rules between cultivators. In their eyes, only the Supreme Divine Tao was supreme. Other than the rules of the Supreme Sect and the Supreme Divine Tao, they would not follow any worldly rules, and the so-called challenges were all ignored. If they wanted to fight, they would swarm forward, and there would not be any one against one. Su Xintian and Shan Shueshue led a group of junior brothers and sisters, risking their lives to stop the surrounding Supreme Sect disciples, while inside, Su Zizai and Su Luluo were fighting nonstop. He stared intently at Su Lioluo's moves, as though he was looking for some flaws. But Su Lioluo's every move was vicious. All of them were death moves, without the slightest bit of mercy, without holding back at all. Sinners, since you've chosen to abandon this supreme path and abandon this world, then let me represent this world and abandon you. Su Lioluo's tender and pleasant voice came out. Her white and flexible hands danced quickly in the air. A snow-white aura revolved around her arms. Following that, the aura was like a living creature coiling around her. When the spirit Qi touched his body, his spirit Qi immediately weakened like a silkworm eating a mulberry leaf. And at the same time, Su Lioluo's spirit Qi became stronger and stronger. With a loud shout, he struck out with his palm towards Su Luluo. The golden light in his palm exploded, and a palm print that was as huge as a mountain directly smashed towards Su Luluo's body. In front of the supreme divine Tao, your profound skills are nothing more than mortal tricks, not even worth mentioning. Su Luluo said indifferently, and then calmly raised his hand again, his finger that was like a spring onion slightly bent, and lightly flicked towards the incoming palm print. Break. The pink sandalwood spat out such a soft word. In almost an instant, a silent and limitless force collided with the palm print, shattering it. The profound technique that wanted to be at ease once again failed. His old eyes became serious. He stared at Su Luluo, his voice filled with helplessness and anger. I never thought that your cultivation would be so high, from the looks of it. I'm afraid that you have already sunk deep into the supreme divine Tao and are unable to extricate yourself. Back then, if it wasn't for my negligence, you wouldn't have fallen into the Supreme Sect. Today, no matter what, I will bring you out of the Supreme Sect. His old face was extremely serious. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood essence, quickly using the profound Qi to wrap around it. Then with a wave of his old hand, He took out a waxy yellow scroll and directly smeared the blood essence on the scroll. Following that, the scroll was opened. It left his palm and flew into the air. As it flew, the scroll continued to roll. As if there was no end to the scroll, it continued to roll out endlessly, like a 10,000-li-long dragon. It enveloped the entire supreme sect. These scrolls of paper were filled with all kinds of language patterns. There were human clan's language, demon clan's language, evil clan's language, and so on. Every inch of the scroll contained boundless energy. When the scroll was unfurled, he immediately formed a seal with both of his hands and imbued the profound strength into it, controlling the scroll. Protect the Holy Maiden. Don't let this person hurt the Holy Maiden and tarnish the supreme divine Tao. Protect the Holy Maiden. Protect the Holy Maiden. Seeing that the Holy Maiden was in trouble, the surrounding disciples of the supreme sect actually risked their lives, completely ignoring their opponents, and rushed towards her without a care for anything else. Even if the swords and sabers were placed on their bodies, they would not defend. At this moment, their souls seemed to be entrusted to the Holy Maiden. However, just as they moved, the rolls of paper that were wrapped around them also moved. These rolls of paper were like wild dragons, instantly wrapping around the bodies of every single supreme sect disciple, wrapping them tightly from top to bottom. Every inch of the paper released a brilliant golden light, and an endless amount of divine power rippled out. No matter who it was, as long as they were wrapped by this scroll of paper, it would be difficult for them to struggle free, and even their profound strength would be completely crippled. Su Luluo looked left and right, and realized that all the supreme sect people had been subdued. But this was not the end. His true target was Su Luluo, who was in front of him. This item was given to me by my senior brother before he died. It is a treasure of the God realm. No one can break free from its shackles. He stared at Su Luluo and said in a low voice. Then, with a loud shout, the last inch of paper flew straight towards Su Luluo. Seeing that, Su Luluo immediately activated the limitless profound chi to resist. However, these rolls of paper were like an iron wall, blocking the limitless profound chi and slowly eating away at it, slowly surrounding it, and finally completely enveloping Su Luluo. It's a success. Su Shintian couldn't help but exclaim. Shun Shueshue was so excited that she cried tears of joy. Quick, Master! Quickly insert the clear memory pill into Liulua's body and erase all of her memories. Don't worry. He then leaped over and landed behind Su Luluo, who was tied up by the roll of paper. With a flip of his palm, his index and middle fingers took out a light red pill, and without saying a word, he directly slapped it towards Su Lulua's delicate and slender back. Pata! The pellet was like a clay ox entering the sea. It touched Su Lulua's back and immediately disappeared. When Su Shintian and Shan Shueshue saw this, their tensed faces finally relaxed. It's over, it's finally over. My daughter, finally back. Shun Shueshue covered her lips. Looking at Su Luluo, tears flowed down her face like a broken dam. All these years of hard work had not been in vain. All these years of hardship had finally paid off. This is not the place to talk. Master, quickly take Luluo away. We need to leave this place quickly. Su Shintian shouted. You guys set up the formation and temporarily seal Supreme Sect. Don't let them chase after us. He wanted to shout, and then extended his hand to take Su Luluo away. But just as he reached out to grab it, it was a ball of air. There was nothing there. In the next second, he felt his body tighten up. The thick, profound chi in his body was like a receding tide, quickly disappearing without a trace. He could not even feel the existence of the profound chi. Not only that, his body was also completely bound, and he could no longer use his strength. This feeling, it was as if he was tied up. This is bad. As if he had sensed something, he suddenly lowered his head to take a look, and a horrifying scene appeared in his eyes. At this moment, he was actually being entangled by a large amount of paper. The patterns on the paper were releasing a resplendent light, and that divine power was suppressing all of his power. This is the forbidden technique, God, go swap. He muttered with his eyes wide open. Pow! At this moment, his back was suddenly slapped lightly. Following that, it was as if something foreign had entered his body along with the slap. Master. The sudden change pulled Su Shintian and Shun Shueshua back into despair from their excitement. The two of them suddenly rushed forward and attacked without caring about anything else, forcing their own daughter, Su Luluo, away, wanting to save him. Those who abandon supreme divine Tao should all die. Su Luluo looked at his parents who were rushing over expressionlessly and said indifferently. Then, he raised his hand and cast another technique, aiming straight at Su Shintian and Shun Shueshua. Chapter 689. In the following period of time, Su Yin stayed in Beiyang to help Huai Romuyu integrate the Chamber of Commerce in Beiyang. The news of He Yu's death had already spread throughout the entire Beiyang. Su Yin told everyone that he had betrayed the 100 Meetings Alliance and, at the same time, made Huai Romuyu the Vice Alliance leader. It was not that Su Yin did not want her to be the alliance leader, but it was because Huai Romuyu had just entered the Beiyang and was still inexperienced. Being the Vice Alliance leader was already something that would attract criticism. But what made people gasp in surprise was that after Huai Romuyu held power, she implemented a series of measures that allowed countless businesses to profit, and in a short span of a few months, she had obtained considerable results, causing those who were unconvinced to be speechless. After taking care of Fuyu, he returned to the True Devil sect and sent people to the Hidden Dragon Palace to discuss this matter. Although the Hidden Dragon Palace was considered a powerful sect in the Divine Dragon domain, it was far from being comparable to the True Devil sect. Furthermore, Fuyu had offended the Demon Lord this time, so the Azure Dragon had nothing to say. After the matter of the Hidden Dragon Palace was settled, Su Yun was relieved. In the following period of time, Su Yin stayed in the Beiyang and dual cultivated with Hu Qianmei in the house all day long. Of course, the purpose of dual cultivation was not only for the sake of happiness, but also for the sake of increasing the cultivation of both sides. Most of the spirit cultivator's purpose of finding a dual cultivation companion was to use the dual cultivation technique to increase the size of their sleeves. It could be said that this method was the happiest and easiest way for the spirit cultivator to obtain cultivation. However, Su Yin did not dare to immerse himself in her beauty. His parents' matter had yet to be resolved, and his sister was still trapped in a coma. There were still many things that he had to do. He calmed himself down and planned to search for the Sword Ancestor's soul inside the ultimate martial world. However, before he could set off, the True Devil sect sent a message, summoning Su Yun back. It was not an urgent matter, but, as the Demon Lord of the True Devil sect, Su Yun should help the True Devil sect a little more. The True Devil sect had given him so many benefits, so much convenience, it would be a lie if Su Yun was not grateful. Hu Qianmei was extremely reluctant, but there was nothing he could do. After pestering Su Yun to dual cultivate in his room for 3 whole days, Su Yin passed through the broken door and returned to the True Devil sect. In the True Devil sect, it was still in that huge skeleton house. Octagon Aniseed, the second elder, and the 6th elder were all waiting for Su Yun in the bone room. Su Yin stepped in, and all the elders stood up and bowed. The 2 elders did not dare to wake him up, and only when Su Yun came in did he wake up in a daze. When he saw Su Yun, he was startled, and then asked curiously, "Lord Demon Lord, aren't you in the Beiyang? Why did you come back to the Devil sect? Didn't you summon me back?" "I summoned you back? Oh, I remember, huh? I'm sorry, I forgot. Octagon Aniseed laughed, then patted his head and said, "However, I've thought about it carefully. It's better if you don't participate in this mission." "Why?" Octagon Aniseed sighed. "Because the Sin Demon 3-Bone Dragon requested to participate in this mission at the last minute. I do not wish for you to carry out this mission with him." Sin Demon 3-Bone Dragon? Only then did Su Yun think of the Devil Cultivator who was locked up in the small garden. After he had inherited the position of Demon Lord, in the entire True Devil sect, he was the one who had the most prejudice against Su Yun, and was also the one who was most opposed to Su Yun inheriting the position. Even now, he was still peeping at the position of Demon Lord. "What is this mission?" Su Yun asked. "It's a mission related to the Wanhua realm. That's why I called you over, but from the looks of it, it's better if you don't go." Octagon Aniseed said. "To be honest, Su Yun, we have already taken control of an important person in the Cloud Heavenly Palace. With this person as a spy, we know every move of the Cloud Heavenly Palace like the back of our hands. Does the Vice Sect leader plan to make a move on the Cloud Heavenly Palace?" Su Yun asked. Octagon Aniseed shook his head. "The true Devil Sect has always adhered to the principle of not offending others. We do not want to cause trouble, but we are not afraid of trouble, and it is the same for the Cloud Heavenly Palace. Regardless of whether the Cloud Heavenly Palace is good or evil, we do not care, but the reason why we want to make a move on the Cloud Heavenly Palace this time is entirely because they have already set their eyes on us. The true Devil Sect has been too low profile for the past few years, to the point that others think that we have already declined, that we cannot withstand a single blow, and that it is difficult for us to ascend the stage, to the point that everyone is starting to pay attention to our true Devil Sect. So we decided to take action this time." "Then what does this have to do with the Wanhua realm?" "Because this operation happened in the Wanhua realm." It really can be said that a dog can't stop itself from eating shit. Although after going through such a great battle, all of the Cloud Heavenly Palace's efforts have failed, but their spying on the Wanhua realm has not stopped. However, they have learned to be smart and no longer want to scheme for the Wanhua realm's land. Instead, they have turned the land into resources and asked the Realm Master for some of the unique resources produced by the Wanhua realm. Why did they do this? It has something to do with the formation. The specific reason is very complicated, and even that person can't explain it clearly. However, no matter what, we will not let them proceed smoothly like this, and these people will be killed by us after they come out of the Wanhua realm." Octagon Aniseed sighed. Now that the Three-Bone Dragon is involved in this mission, there is no need for Demon Lord to participate anymore. If possible, try your best to stay away from the Three-Bone Dragon. He is not a good person. "I understand. Thank you for your reminder, Vice Sect Leader." Su Yun nodded. "Yes." Octagon Aniseed smiled, then placed his feet on the chair, assuming a half-squatting posture. Hugging his knees with both hands, he looked at the two devils beside him with a leisurely and contented expression and said in a satisfied tone, "Then, Second Elder, you can continue reporting what you were about to say." The two devils were startled. They then looked at Standing Demon and sighed. "Vice Sect Leader, the two devils have already reported to you. Did you not hear it clearly? You just said, I'm sorry, I fell asleep just now." "I didn't hear you clearly." The two devils and the Standing Demon were speechless. With such a Vice Sect leader, it was truly unbearable. The two devils heaved a sigh of relief and could only speak again. "Yesterday, I received news that an unforeseen event occurred in the clearing. The Great Elder who was cleared has violated the sect's rules and has been imprisoned." "Oh, Great Elder? Want freedom? What did he do to deserve to be imprisoned?" Octagon Aniseed asked, puzzled. "It is said that in order to save his own grand disciple, he brought his own disciples to Supreme Sect to cause trouble, and successfully lured out the new Holy Maiden of the Supreme Sect, intending to forcefully kidnap her. However, he failed. He planned to use the clear memory pill he refined to erase the Holy Maiden's memories and save her from the Supreme Sect. But not only did he not succeed in inserting the clear memory pill into the Holy Maiden's body, he was instead struck by the Holy Maiden's forbidden technique, God Go Swap, and was struck by the clear memory pill himself. Now that he is heavily injured and has lost his memories, he was taken away by a few disciples in a sorry state and returned to the clear memory pill." The two devils said. When Su Yun, who was at the side, heard the three words Supreme Sect, he immediately pricked up his ears and listened attentively. To think that such a thing would happen. After Octagon Aniseed heard this, he let out waves of emotion. It is said that this new Holy Maiden is the daughter of Su Shintian's disciple. She accidentally entered the Supreme Sect and blamed herself for letting her own disciple's disciple fall into the Supreme Sect. That's why she took the risk, hoping to make up for her mistakes back then. "What did you say?" Before the two devils could finish their words, Su Yun, who was at the side, immediately exploded. He immediately turned his head and walked in front of the two devils, stared at the two devils' ugly faces, and asked anxiously, "Second demon elder, you? What did you just say?" "What?" The two devils looked at Su Yun in astonishment, their heads full of fog. "Who did you say the new holy maiden is?" Su Yun asked anxiously. His eyes were filled with anxiety and worry, and his voice had also become tense. "Oh, I mean, this new holy maiden is the daughter of Su Shuntian, a disciple who wishes to be at ease." "What's wrong, Lord Demon Lord?" The two devils were obviously confused. However, Su Yun had sunk into a mess of thoughts. His breathing became hurried, and his eyes were filled with uncontrollable agitation. Such a change caused the two devils, Standing Demon and the others, to feel extremely confused. Everything was fine. What was going on with Su Yun? Only Octagon Aniseed sensed that something was amiss. Su Shantian, a disciple who wishes to be at ease? Lord Demon Lord, your name is Su Yun. Could it be that this Su Shantian has something to do with you? Octagon Aniseed's voice became serious as he asked. Su Yun regained his senses, looked at Octagon Aniseed, and nodded. "That's right. Su Shintan is my father, and the new holy maiden is most likely my sister, Su Luo." With that said, the entire room quieted down. Su Yun sat on the chair, not saying a word. He only stared at the ground. No one knew what he was thinking. As for the two devils and the Standing Demon, they were constantly exchanging glances. The matter of the Demon Lord is our matter. Now that he is severely injured and has lost his memories, I am afraid that he is powerless to save the Demon Lord's sister. But in my opinion, the one who should be the most worried right now is not the Demon Lord's sister, but the Demon Lord's parents. Octagon Aniseed said in a low voice. This time, I've acted on my own, committed an unforgivable crime against the Supreme Sect, and also set up a great enemy for the emptiness. In the past, the emptiness and the Supreme Sect could be said to not interfere with each other. But now it is different. If I want to be free, I will definitely invite the Supreme Sect to punish me. If I want to stay out of this matter, maybe I will hand over the people who participated in this matter to the Supreme Sect. I can't let them do this. Su Yun raised his head and said coldly. Chapter 690. Su Yun's voice was very firm. At this time, what reason did he have to stay out of this? Elder RMO, is the information you got accurate? Octagon Aniseed asked. There's no mistake. The two devils said indifferently. Standing Demon looked at Octagon Aniseed, then looked at Su Yun, and said, Demon Lord, we understand what you're thinking, but to be honest, Empty and Supreme Sect are not small sects. It is not good for our true devil sect to interfere in the battle between them. If not, we will only invite trouble to ourselves. When the two devils heard this, they also nodded their heads seriously. Octagon Aniseed's delicate eyes looked at Su Yun, but did not say a word. But Su Yun understood what Octagon Aniseed meant. Although the true devil sect was strong, it was not strong enough to ignore the two sections. There is no need for them to interfere in the grudges between the two sects for the sake of Su Shintian and Shun Shueshua, even if their son was the demon lord of the true devil sect. If it was said that this demon lord had a high prestige and had some achievements, perhaps the people of the true devil sect would still respond positively. However, this demon lord was a new existence after all, and did not have any achievements. At this time, even Octagon Aniseed would not be able to do anything for Su Yun. I understand what you all mean. Su Yun stood up, looked at the three of them, and said indifferently, I will not let the true devil sect interfere. I will only interfere in this matter in my own name. Su Shuntian and Shun Shueshua are my parents. If they're going to hand the two of them over, I cannot remain indifferent. I want to save them. With your strength alone, this will be very difficult. But at this point, I have no other choice. Su Yun said in a low voice. As a son, he would definitely not be indifferent. Are you determined to go? Maybe it's not what you think. Regardless of whether it's true or not, I should at least take a look. Su Yun said indifferently. When everyone heard this, they understood that Su Yun had made up his mind. What are you going to do? Octagon Aniseed asked. If you do not use your identity as the demon lord to clear it, I reckon that the person who cleared it might not pay attention to you, much less interfere with your parents' matters. Vice sect leader is right. I'm afraid that even if I were to go as the demon lord, I wouldn't be able to interfere in this matter. After all, this is an internal matter of their sect. Su Yin shook his head. Without saying a word, it was obvious that he had tacitly agreed to Su Yun's words. Therefore, I don't intend to reason with them. The purpose of this trip is to rescue my parents. That's all. I'm relieved that the two elders are safe. Demon Monarch, emptying it isn't as easy as you think it is. The difficulty is not as simple as fishing people out of the Supreme Sect. Other than that, do I have any other way? Su Yun secretly clenched his fists. Even if it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens, he still had to go. Could it be that he was going to sit here and wait for death and watch helplessly as his parents met with danger? He didn't want to lose any more family members. Demon Lord, I think it's better if you don't take such a risk. As the Demon Lord of my true devil sect, how can you take such a risk? Let's discuss this matter at length, said the second elder and the second demon. I understand what you mean. Su Yun exhaled, took out the demon monarch bone from his storage ring, and placed it on the table. Ever since I entered the true devil sect, everyone has treated me like family, and the care you have given me can be considered meticulous. Su Yun is very grateful, but what I am ashamed of is that, until today, Su Yun has not contributed anything to the true devil sect. This is Su Yun's incompetence. I cannot remain silent about today's matter. My parents are in danger. As a son, I have to go and save them. No matter how difficult it is, I cannot retreat. This is the Demon Monarch's bone. I will return it. I am no longer the Demon Monarch. Everyone does not have to worry about my safety, and do not have to worry about the relationship between the devil sect and the empty space being broken because of me. With that, Su Yin turned around and walked towards the door. Demon Monarch! Demon Monarch! The second demon and standing demon immediately stood up and stopped Su Yin. Demon Monarch, you can't do this. The two demons' faces were filled with anxiety. You are the successor of Lord Enmo and Lord Changgu. You are of great significance to our devil sect. No matter what, you are a member of our devil sect. Let's report this matter to the sect master first before discussing it. Yeah, if you leave, how are we going to explain this to the sect leader? Standing demon said with a face full of anxiety. There's no need to dissuade the two of you. Su Yun smiled and cupped his fists. But, since the demon monarch has already made up his mind, there is no need for the two elders to persuade him. It is difficult for us to understand Su Yun's feelings as demons. How can we understand people? At this moment, Octagon Aniseed stood up and spoke with a clear and melodious voice. Su Yun turned his head to look at him. He walked over, extended his slender, snow-white hands, and helped Su Yun tidy up his messy robes, and laughed. However, even if you do not become the Demon Lord, you are still a member of my true devil sect. You have already experienced the ceremony, and your body already has the devil cultivator's chi. This is something that you cannot change. Su Yun nodded. Octagon Aniseed retracted his hand and circled around Su Yun. He smiled in satisfaction and said, Since you have already made your decision, then I will not stop you. If you want to go, then go. I will arrange for someone to go to the void fragmented door and send you there. Hearing that, Su Yun's heart warmed and immediately bowed seriously. Thank you. As soon as he finished speaking, he did not hesitate and immediately sent people to make the arrangements. Su Yun took advantage of the time Octagon Aniseed was setting up the void fragmented door to return to Ultimate Martial World and rush to Beiyang. Big Brother, when he saw that Su Yun had returned after a few days, Hu Qianmei was extremely happy. However, Su Yun remained silent. His expression was serious, and he could not bear to do so. How could Su Yun's change be hidden from Hu Qianmei? She looked at Su Yun's face, then pulled his hand and said softly, Big Brother, is there something on your mind? Indeed, Mayor, I might have to go on a long trip. I'm not sure when I'll be back. Su Yun hesitated for a moment, then said, Is it about the real devil sect? No, this is my personal matter. It's about my parents. Did something happen to them? Hu Qianmei's eyes slightly widened. Yes. Where to? Empty the world. Empty. Hu Qianmei actually knew about this realm, and immediately revealed a shocked expression. What is it? Have you heard of emptying? Big brother, although my cultivation is not as good as yours, and I am just a small fry in the myriad heavens realm, but that does not mean that I will not look and will not listen. I have spent the last time in the true Dragon City, and the ancient records left behind by the Dragon City Lord have recorded the history of emptying this sect. This is an ancient sect and is extremely powerful. There are not many people in this sect, but all of the people in this sect are top figures. Big brother, you have mentioned the Supreme Sect before, right? To tell you the truth, even a sect like the Supreme Sect would not easily provoke them. In terms of strength, the Supreme Sect is indeed unparalleled in the world, but emptying them would definitely not be bad. The reason why the Supreme Sect is feared by others is because of the fanaticism and ruthlessness of its sect. Emptying is actually this powerful? Su Yun was also secretly shocked. Big brother, will you let me go this time? Hu Qianmei lowered her head and asked softly. Su Yun was startled. A bitter smile surfaced on his face. He extended his hand and caressed Hu Qianmei's head and said softly, Mayor, wait for me here, can you? Hu Qianmei's delicate body trembled. She raised her head. Her pair of peach blossom eyes were already filled with mist. She grabbed onto Su Yun's hand tightly and said resolutely, If you come, I will definitely wait for you. But if you don't, I will go find you. Don't worry, I will definitely come back. Su Yun said gently. Hu Qianmei threw herself into Su Yun's embrace and sobbed softly. After bidding farewell to Hu Qianmei, Su Yun returned to the true devil sect. The broken void door had already been set up and was arranged in the open space in front of the group of cultivation caves. There was no one in front of the door other than Octagon Aniseed. You're finally here. Looking at Su Yun, who was dressed in a black robe, and walking over, Octagon Aniseed, who was lying on the ground and dozing off, opened his sleepy eyes, rubbed them a few times, and laughed. Greetings, Vice Sect Leader. Su Yun took a few steps forward, cupped his fists, and said, Hey, don't be so polite anymore. I hate these red tape the most. Octagon Aniseed waved his hand, and then asked again, Su Yun, if you go this time, you should understand the danger, saying that there's a high chance of death. Do you still decide to go? Father and mother are in danger. Even if it's a mountain of blades and a sea of flames, I must still go. All right, since that's the case, I won't advise you anymore. Su Yun, there's a piece of parchment here. After you empty it, open it, and take a look. There are some useful things on it. You are also unfamiliar with this emptiness. If you don't understand the rules inside, you will be at a disadvantage. With that, he handed over a piece of parchment to Su Yun. Su Yun took it, opened it to take a look, and immediately said, Thank you. The broken void door has been set up. Su Yun, you can go now. Come back early and have a safe journey. Octagon Aniseed waved his hand and said with a smile, Yes. Seeing this, Octagon Aniseed's smile became even more brilliant. Then he tapped on the shattered door in front of him, and with a dong sound, the door opened, and a misty whirlpool spiraled inside the door. Su Yun took a deep breath and walked inside. Chirp, a strange sound came out, and very quickly, Su Yun's entire body disappeared, and there was no trace of his aura in the air. Standing in front of the door, Octagon Aniseed watched Su Yun disappear, and his smile slightly disappeared. He stood there for a moment, thought for a moment, then turned around and called for a devil sect disciple in the distance. Vice Sect Leader. The disciple hurriedly bowed. Get up. Octagon Aniseed placed his hands on his waist and said, Go, get me some blood. I want to write a letter. Yes. The disciple nodded, turned around, and ran away. Chapter 691. Although it was also in charge of a realm, it was not as sealed as the Supreme Sect. There was only one entrance to the Supreme Sect, and it was guarded by disciples. Outsiders were not allowed to enter the Supreme Sect. Unless they wanted to become a disciple of the Supreme Sect, they would be brought into the sect. Many people, in order to save their friends and family, snuck into the sect with the intention of convincing their friends and family to leave. However, None of these people who pretended to enter the Supreme Sect came out. It was said that they were all brainwashed. Although the emptying world was the location of the sect that had been emptied, there were still many hidden cultivators living inside. When he entered the empty realm, Su Yun was on a hillside. The sky was blue, but the ground was not green. Instead, it was golden yellow. The vegetation on the ground did not look like grass. It was about 3 inches long, and each plant had 7 yellow leaves. They swayed gently in the wind, and the air was filled with an intoxicating feeling. There were many mountains that had been cleared out. They were all high peaks, and some of them pierced straight into the clouds. Every mountain was a bright yellow color. Su Yin took out the parchment that Octagon Aniseed had given him and roughly read through the contents. Octagon Aniseed was very careful. He wrote down all the things that he needed to pay attention to and even drew out the empty map. It seemed like he had prepared something for Su Yin. After confirming the direction and location, Su Yin took out his flying sword and rushed forward. The empty realm was circular, and Su Yin was at the periphery, and if he walked inside, he would be clearing out the huge sect encampment. Along the way, they could see many spirit cultivators dressed in yellow robes. They carried long swords on their backs and had round order badges hanging from their waists. Their entire bodies were filled with sharp, swift-wind spirit chi. They were the outer sect disciples that had been cleared out. This time he is really unlucky. He actually went to provoke the Supreme Sect and even found trouble with the Holy Maiden, causing trouble for himself. Let's see how he will deal with this. And how could he end up with amnesia? It is said that he refined a clear memory pill and planned to use it on the Holy Maiden to erase her memories before taking her away. However, he never thought that the Holy Maiden would actually use a forbidden technique and forcefully use the clear memory pill on him. Is this considered as reaping the consequences of his own actions? Haha, why not? This old man has been ordering our master around all day long. Now that he has fallen to such a state, it can be considered retribution. However, I heard that he made a move this time to save his grand disciple. That Holy Maiden is said to be the daughter of his disciple Su Shintian and Shun Shueshua. For him to be able to do this, he could be considered a magnanimous person. Magnanimous? Honest my ass, in this negotiation between the sect and the Greater One sect, they would most likely hand him and those 2 idiots over. If they fall into the hands of the Supreme Sect, they will definitely die. Would the sect do that? Even if he lost his memory, he is still the great elder of our sect. If this matter were to spread, then what face would we have left? Great elder? He had lost his memories and had forgotten many profound techniques. He was completely like an idiot, and his cultivation had dropped by an unknown amount. What was the point of keeping such a piece of trash in the sect? Furthermore, he has offended the Holy Maiden. If he does not give the Supreme Sect an explanation, the Supreme Sect will definitely attack us and clear us out. At that time, the situation will be out of control. Would the Supreme Sect be so impulsive? You must know, the people in the Supreme Sect are all lunatics. This is not the first time they have done such a thing, regardless of whether the other party is strong or weak. As long as they provoke them, they will never let it go. A wave of discussion came from the front, and when Su Yun, who was following behind, heard it, he clenched his fists tightly and looked at the few disciples of the Clear Sky sect with an even colder gaze. As if sensing a strange gaze coming from behind, the disciples who were flying in front turned their heads and looked at Su Yun. When they saw the other party's serious expression that carried a trace of hatred, they were immediately angered. Where did this wild brat come from? What are you looking at? Scram! I heard you insult Su Shintian and Shun Shueshua just now, right? Su Yun said coldly. Hearing that, the disciples all stopped and stared at Su Yun with ill intent. What is it? The man laughed disdainfully. Seeing how angry you are, could it be that these 2 have something to do with you? You didn't hear wrongly. I just insulted them, so what? Do you dare to make a move against me? Let me tell you, we are the people who have been cleared out. If you act recklessly, I can guarantee that you won't be able to leave the empty world. Fuck you. Su Yin was furious. He pulled out his sword and killed. He did not care about fame and fortune, but he valued his family very much. How could he tolerate others insulting his parents? These disciples were all shocked. The guy in front of them was so impulsive. He just said he would fight. However, there were 4 of them, and all of them were at the 5th stage of the Sky Spirit Master. Su Yun looked to be only at the peak of the 5th stage. How could he be afraid? However, after a short exchange of blows, these disciples were stunned. Su Yun's speed, profound chi, strength, and so on were not something that an existence at the 5th stage of the Sky Spirit Master could possess. They could not even catch a glimpse of Su Yun's figure, and were left with several sword scars on their bodies. Bang, 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 bang. Su Yun raised his leg and kicked each of them, kicking them down from the sky. Everyone was struck to the ground, unable to move. They were already wailing in pain. I'll let you guys go this time. If you dare to insult Su, Shantian, and Shan Shue again, I won't let you off lightly. Su Yun said coldly. Yes, yes, yes. Sir, we won't dare to insult the 2 of you anymore. The disciples begged for mercy. Su Yun snorted, then immediately left. He flew extremely fast, heading straight for the empty sect. Although these disciples had seen his face before, it was not a big deal. These people were just outer sect disciples, and normally they would not be able to go to the inner sect. Su Yun was currently empty. If he were to kill people recklessly, he would only invite trouble for himself. Teaching them a lesson was just a small matter, and there would not be any big problems. Even if they went to the sect to complain, no one would pay attention to them. After rushing for half a day, Su Yun finally arrived at the empty door. The door was extremely imposing. It was at least 100 meters tall, and on both sides stood 10 statues of the same height as the door. It was grand and magnificent. The door was surrounded by mountains and rivers, and the door was filled with disciples entering and exiting. It was extremely lively, but there were also many other spirit cultivators entering and exiting. But looking at their chi, all of them were existences above the 3rd stage of the Sky Spirit Master. From the looks of it, Su Shintian and Shun Shueshue's cultivation in a sect like this could only be considered to be above average. Su Yun did not dare to be in a hurry to enter and empty the sect. With his current state, it was impossible for him to enter, so he walked to the small path, took out the parchment given by Octagon Aniseed, and opened it to take a look. Don't sneak into the empty gate. There are 9,300 enchantments around the sect, and 18,900 enchantments inside. These enchantments will only be automatically ignored by those who wear the empty gate, and those who do not have the empty gate will definitely be discovered if they sneak in. What you need to do is to obtain an empty gate, and then sneak in from the south. Su Yun looked at the blood-red words above, thought for a while, then his gaze landed on the disciples who were entering and exiting, rolled his eyes, put away the parchment, and walked away. Not long after, Su Yun wore a yellow robe and walked toward the south side of the mountain with the empty gate. The back mountain was a dense bamboo forest, but the bamboo here was not emerald green. Instead, it was also golden in color. From afar, it looked like a golden land. It seemed that there wasn't much green in the empty world. The mountaintop here was also surrounded by a large number of enchantments, but with the help of the empty gate, the enchantments could be ignored. In the end, it was too big to be emptied. Su Yun carefully snuck in, lowered his head, and followed the small path towards the inner sect. He was waiting for the Supreme Sect request, but he did not know where Su Shintian and Shun Shueshua were. However, this was not difficult for Su Yun. Once he entered the inner sect, he could just use the heavenly seeking treasure bell. Su Yun was a little anxious, and it was only after this incident that he understood that Su Shantian and Shun Shueshua were disciples who had been cleared out. After all, he was the great clan elder. If the Supreme Sect requirements were not high, clearing out would more or less protect him. But Su Shantian and Shun Shueshua were different. The 2 of them were just disciples of the elders and were not important to the sect, so the punishment would definitely not be light. He was afraid that the 2 of them would become the scapegoats for this incident. Thinking about it, Su Yun became even more anxious. When he reached the small path, Su Yun stopped in his tracks. There were pavilions all around, and in the distance there was a green river. On the other side of the river were several large formations, And on the other side of the formation was a magnificent group of palaces. Over there was the empty inner sect, and in the center of the inner sect was the gathering place for the supreme beings and elders. Su Yun rolled his eyes, looked at the sky, then turned and walked towards the forest at the side, hiding well. The barrier of the inner sect was different from the outer sect. The barrier of the inner sect would automatically distinguish the identity of the inner sect people and the outer sect people. If Su Yun were to barge in rashly like this, he would definitely be noticed. He could not withstand the investigation. If he was not an empty person, he would most likely be treated as a spy and be killed. Therefore, he could only continue to wait here. Of course, it was not easy to get the inner sect disciples to clear out the order. This was an empty place, and the inner sect disciples' cultivation was most likely not ordinary. Once a fight broke out, it would not end in a short period of time, and if it caused a commotion, then Su Yun's situation would be dangerous. Therefore, Su Yun planned to follow the method given by Octagon Aniseed. Octagon Aniseed had said that because of the complexity of the enchantments, there would be people in the market who would inspect them. As long as they found the place where the enchantments were inspected or damaged, they could bypass the guarding disciples and sneak in. If they left before the great array was repaired, there wouldn't be much of a problem. Although this method was feasible, to Su Yun, time was too tight. However, there was nothing he could do now, so he could only choose this method. Looking at the series of methods recorded on the parchment, Su Yun was thinking, did Octagon Aniseed sneak in and empty it before? Crash! After an unknown period of time, a voice came from the other side of the river. Su Yun, who was hiding behind a tree, immediately looked up, only to see two inner sect disciples walking out. They walked in front of the formation, lowering their heads to set something up. This is it. Su Yun frowned. He took a deep breath and quietly snuck over. Hey, stop. Just as Su Yun was quietly approaching the other side of the river, a low shout suddenly came from behind him. Chapter 692. Hearing that voice, Su Yun's entire body trembled. His heart tensed up. He clenched his fists tightly. The profound chi started to accumulate. He slowly turned around and looked behind him. Behind him, there was a man dressed in yellow armor with a slight build. The man's expression was extremely arrogant. His soybean-sized eyes sized Su Yun up, then raised his voice and asked, "You look very unfamiliar. Are you new to my sect?" "Yes." Su Yun nodded. "Then why are you here?" The man snorted and said, "You're just an outer sect disciple. How can you wander around? Do you know what this place is? This is the entrance to the inner sect. What are you trying to do here? Hurry up and get to work. You're not allowed to be lazy." Hearing that, Su Yun did not bat an eyelid. He nodded and said yes, and was about to leave. But at this moment, a person suddenly ran over from the path. Senior brother, you boo." The man was holding a glowing gift box in his hand as he ran and shouted. When the fatty saw this, he immediately stopped in his tracks and looked at him strangely. "What's going on?" "Senior brother, the people from the Hall of Life have sent a gift to Zhang Jingying. They said it was for his birthday. Do you want to help deliver it?" That person ran over, gasped for breath, and then said with a flattering tone, "Zhang Jingying?" Hearing that, the fatty's expression changed slightly, and he snorted, "What do you mean by this? Don't you know that I have always been at odds with Zhang Jingying? You actually wanting to take this crappy thing for him? Don't even think about it." "This, senior brother, we're outer sect disciples, so we can't enter the inner sect. You're an inner sect disciple, so you can enter and leave the inner sect as you please. Besides, I really can't find anyone. Senior brother, please help me out. If I don't send it, and Zhang Jingying finds out, then he will definitely cause trouble for me." That person said with a bitter expression, "If he finds trouble with you, that's your problem. It has nothing to do with me. If you want to send something, you could just send it over." The fatty didn't buy it at all. "But if you don't help, and Zhang Jingying finds out, I'm afraid he will blame you, senior brother." "Pa!" Just as the man said wah, he was slapped hard by the fat man. The fat man shouted angrily, "Bastard, are you threatening me?" That person spun around on the spot, feeling dizzy and disoriented. He covered his face and said with grievance, Senior brother, it was just a slip of the tongue, just a slip of the tongue. I didn't mean anything else." I definitely didn't mean anything else. I don't think you dare, Fatty snorted. However, he did not leave immediately. Instead, a troubled look appeared on his face. It was likely that this fellow's words had caused him to hesitate. Although I don't get along with Elite Zhang, he's an elite of the inner sect, and I'm just a deacon disciple of the outer sect. In terms of status, he's above me, but I really don't want to see this guy anymore. Fatty sighed, but very quickly he seemed to have thought of something and said in a low voice, Chengjun, how about this? Why don't I give you the inner court token, and you send it yourself? Is this appropriate? What's inappropriate about it? Fatty stretched out his hand and removed the empty clearance order from his waist. The man called Chengjun hesitated for a moment, then nodded his head. He sighed slightly and was about to reach out to receive it. Senior brother, let me go. I'll send this over for you. Just then, a light cry came from the side of Yu Bu and Chengjun. The two of them looked to the side at the same time, only to see that Su Yun had unknowingly stood beside the two of them, smiling at Yu Bu. Scram. Fatty snorted in displeasure. But in the next second, Su Yun stuffed a small bag of money over. There were no profound coins in the bag, but there was a profound coin card with 1,000,000 profound coins. He quietly whispered into Fatty's ear, Senior brother, actually when I was here just now, I just wanted to see the scenery of the inner sect. I just entered the sect and am very curious about this place. I heard that the inner sect is filled with supreme expertess, and there are countless strange sights. I want to broaden my horizons now. Senior brother is so confused. How can I just stand by and watch? Senior brother, please give me this opportunity so that I can help you solve your problems, and also let me broaden my horizons. Okay? With that, he stuffed the card into Fatty's hand. Fatty opened his eyes slightly and quietly raised his hand to look at the profound coin card inside. When he saw the amount, his soybean-sized eyes released a golden light. Chengjun, who was at the side, saw all of this. He looked at Su Yun with disdain, but did not say anything. Cough, cough. Since Junior brother wants to broaden your horizons and see the glory of the inner sect, how can I not give you this chance? With that, Fatty snatched the inner court order from Chengjun's hand and stuffed it into Su Yun's hands. Remember, once the gift box is delivered, come out immediately. Don't delay, understand? If anyone finds out that you have my order badge, then both you and I will be in trouble. Fatty said seriously. Yes, senior brother. Su Yun immediately said, Senior brother, is this appropriate? Chengjun said worriedly. What's wrong with that? Fatty glared at Chengjun, then said to Su Yun, Hurry up and go. Yes, thank you, senior brother. With that, Su Yun carried the gift box and walked towards the inner sect. With Fatty Yu Bu's empty order, it would be as easy as flipping his hand for Su Yun to enter the inner sect. The disciples who were inspecting the array could not be bothered with Su Yun, and seeing that there was nothing strange about the spirit formation seal, they followed him. After Su Yun entered the inner sect, he immediately opened the gift box. Seeing that there were some spirit cultivator's tonics inside, he did not hesitate and kept them all into his storage ring. Spending 1,000,000 profound coin to buy some of this really made his heart ache, but the most important thing was the empty order. After entering the inner sect, Su Yun became more careful. There were no weaklings in the inner sect, and the supreme expertess even knew how to read minds. Su Yun had snuck in. If he were to meet such an existence, his identity would most likely be seen through by the other party. He followed the quiet path and slowly shuttled through the inner sect's palace. Seeing that there was no one around, he took out the heavenly seeking treasure bell and started to search for Shan Shue and Su Shintian's whereabouts. Along the way, Su Yun walked extremely cautiously. He had to avoid the crowd, and at the same time, he had to appear natural. If somebody did not pay attention and notice that he was being sneaky and suspicious, the situation would still be very bad. However, after walking for about 2 hours, Su Yun could not help but stop. At the end of the street was a black mud road that led to the mountain. The road was extremely quiet and no one could be seen, but at the end of the black mud road stood a disciple dressed in golden armor. This disciple had a golden sword and was like a god of war, guarding the entrance to the mountain. Su Yun glanced at it, then retreated and leaned against the wall, lowering his head to think. Now that there were people guarding it, and the entrance to the mountain was so narrow, it was likely that he would not be able to pass this trial with the empty token. Long Zhan's wristband was fully activated. If an existence below the 9th stage of the Sky Spirit Master did not wear a specific magic treasure, they would not be able to see through his chi. The disciple guarding the mountain was extremely dense. He was at least at the 8th stage of the Sky Spirit Master. If he relied on an obstacle, he would be able to avoid his line of sight. But the entrance to the mountain was only 5 meters wide, and there were barriers on both sides. How could he pass through? Looking at the mountain, it was extremely hazy. There were a few buildings at the top of the mountain that looked like a prison. Could it be that his father and mother were locked up here? However, just as Su Yun was deep in thought, the sound of hurried footsteps came from the entrance of the mountain. Following that, he felt the profound chi in the air shaking, and specks of light leaked out from the entrance, as though someone was coming over. Su Yun looked over anxiously, only to see 7 empty disciples pressing down on 2 figures walking over. The 2 of them were a man and a woman, both dressed in empty clothes. The man's expression was firm and determined, while the woman's head was lowered and she did not say a word. The 2 of them were not shackled by any shackles or iron chains, but they followed the 7 disciples over. However, the 7 disciples emitted light from each other, forming a square light array that trapped the 2 of them. Father, mother? Su Yun's expression immediately tensed up. He wanted to rush up immediately. However, he managed to restrain his impulsive actions in time and calmly looked at Su Shintian and Shan Shue. The 2 of them had good complexions and did not have any injuries on their bodies. It seemed that they were still in the same sect and did not torture them. Seeing that, Su Yun heaved a sigh of relief. Since Shan Shue and Su Shintian had come down from the mountain, Su Yun naturally did not need to go up and quietly followed the group. These people walked through the black mud road and headed straight for the center of the inner sect. They only stopped when they arrived in front of hall. You guys stay here and watch them. I'll go in and report to the elders. A disciple said, Yes, senior brother. The few of them drank. After that, the crowd dispersed. 3 of them left, leaving only 4 to guard Su Shintian and Shan Shue. Su Yun looked around. It was extremely quiet, and the interior of the hall was also extremely quiet. If he did not make a move now, he would not have the chance. Immediately, he quietly pulled out the Lotus Star Sword, stared at the 4-spirit cultivator S, and forcefully pulled out all of his profound chi. The dense, profound energy surged towards the sword body like a flood. Whiz! Accompanied by a swift and fierce figure that was almost impossible to catch, he instantly appeared in front of the 4 empty disciples. Sleep! Su Yun consecutively released 4 sword strikes. All of them were placed on their chests. The Lotus Star Sword's light exploded. With a thought before the disciples could even react, their entire bodies were powerless. Their consciousness was weak, and they immediately fainted. But when the 4 swords were unleashed, Su Yun's body also became powerless, as if he was spinning silk from a cocoon, and the profound chi was instantly consumed by 1/5. The idea was to sleep. Forcing the other party to sleep was not considered strong for the Lotus Star Sword's idea. But the cultivation of these existences were not low, and the profound chi required to successfully activate the idea was also extremely huge. If not for the fact that Su Yun's profound chi was dense, he would have fallen asleep after unleashing 4 consecutive sword strikes. Su Shintian and Shan Shue, who were in the center, were stunned by this change. Su Shintian turned his head and shouted, "Who is it?" "Father, it's me." Su Yun gasped for breath and said to Su Shintian. Su Shintian was startled. When he saw who it was, he regained his senses and said in shock, "Yun'er." Chapter 693. Shan Shue's eyes reddened. She turned her head and looked at Su Yun, who had suddenly appeared. She was also shocked, speechless for a long time. "Yun'er, why are you here?" Shan Shue regained her senses, her face instantly turning pale white. She anxiously pulled Su Yun and shouted, "Do you know where this is? Hurry up and leave. If the people from the sect discover you, you'll be finished. We can go." Father, mother, come with me, Su Yun said with a smile. Yunner, what are you doing here? Don't you understand where this is? Su Shintian frowned. His expression congealed as he bellowed at Su Yun. I know. This place is empty, and father and mother are the ones who cleared it out. Then you should know why father and mother are like this, right? Su Shintian asked again. It's to save my sister, Su Yun said in a low voice. Su Yun's appearance here had indeed surprised Su Shintan and Shan Shueshua, but since he was already here, he must have known about the ins and outs of the matter. Hearing that, Su Shintian sighed slightly and said, It's good that you know, Yunner, your mother and I have already caused trouble and should be punished, but you are different. You are still young and do not know about the grudges and entanglements between sects. Quickly leave. Do not stay here. You are not an empty person. Once you are discovered by others, they will only kill you without mercy. Father, mother, I heard that this time I might hand you over to the Supreme Sect for punishment. I have heard a little about what kind of sect the Supreme Sect is. If you do this, you will most likely be persecuted by the Supreme Sect. For this, I must bring you away. If father and mother do not leave, I will not leave either. Su Yun knelt down on both knees and said with a firm attitude, You. Su Shintian was speechless. Shun Shueshua anxiously helped Su Yun up. Her eyes were red and tears were welling up at the side of her eyes. Yunner, you are trying to pierce through my heart. Shun Shueshua cried out in grief. Yunner, you should hurry up and leave. If we want to escape, it would be impossible for us to escape from this empty world. Take advantage of the fact that you haven't been discovered by them, and leave quickly. If you hesitate any longer, it will be too late. Su Shantian exclaimed. Father, mother, Su Yun wanted to say something, but just then, a loud and clear voice came out from the hall. Traitorous disciple, Su Shintian, Shan Shueshua, I never thought that you would have reinforcements. Is this person here to save you? If that's the case, I advise you to obediently surrender. You won't be able to escape. When the voice came out, more than 10 spirit cultivator walked out of the hall. There were men and women in these spirit cultivator-s, and almost no one had an aura lower than the spirit emperor. Without a doubt, these were all the higher-ups that had been cleared out. Seeing that they had appeared, Su Yun's face tensed up. He stood up and took out the death sword. Not good. Shun Shueshua anxiously blocked in front of Su Yun and cried out to the spirit cultivator-s. Second clan elder, third clan elder, this person is my son. He came here this time to see us. He definitely has no other intentions. I hope all the elders will show mercy. Please show mercy. Your son? Second elder Guzazai stared at Shun Shueshua majestically and said, Didn't you only have one daughter? Would it have a son? Furthermore, what was going on the ground? If your son wants to see you, how can you use such a despicable method to harm my sect members? This, Shan Shueshua opened his mouth, but was unable to say a word. Second elder, how's our master? Su Shintian asked anxiously. Elder Zazai has caused a great disaster for the sect this time. His crime is unforgivable, but how the sect will deal with him has not been decided yet. Second elder Guzazai said with a cold expression. Master was poisoned by an elixir that he refined himself. Originally, this elixir was refined to save my daughter, but it accidentally entered his body. Master once told us that this elixir can be detoxified, and the method of recovery must be recorded in his secret manual. Second elder, please hurry to my master's cultivation place and search for the method to refine the elixir so that my master can recover his memories. Su Shintian shouted. However, his words were like a breeze in their ears, not worth mentioning. What recovery method? We don't know that Elder Zazai's pill refining skills are the most outstanding in the entire Clear Sky sect. We don't have his methods, so how would we dare to act recklessly? If anything happens, we won't be able to bear the consequences. Furthermore, the Venerable One does not have any intention of letting him recover his memories, and your punishment will be made after discussing it with the people of Supreme Sect. You can't even protect yourselves? Why do you need to care about others? Second elder, you? I know that there's a grudge between you and Master, but we are all empty people. How can we do this because of personal grudges? Shut up. Su Shuntian, are you teaching me a lesson? Gu's eye was angry. He immediately waved his hand at Su Shintian, and a burst of strength chi instantly exploded, directly striking Su Shintian's chest. Bang! Su Shintian's body immediately flew up and crashed into a wall not far away, causing the wall to shatter into powder. He also spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and was injured. God! Father! Su Yin and Shun Shueshu cried out in grief and ran towards Su Shintian. You simply don't know what you're talking about. You caused such a huge disaster for me, yet you still don't know how to repent. Gu's eye coldly snorted. Su Yin clenched his fists tightly. He turned his head and stared at Gu's eye angrily, his eyes bloodshot. Elder! At this moment, a disciple suddenly flew over and knelt down on one knee. What's wrong? Gu's eye stared at the disciple and asked. Reporting to the elders, the Supreme Sect's envoys have already arrived and are rushing over here. Oh, so fast. Third Elder Hong's eye frowned slightly. They came so quickly. Could it be that they have some sort of purpose? Purpose? It's just those thoughts. They came here this time to vent their anger. After all, these people insulted the Supreme Divine Tao that they revered the most in their hearts, and to spread their teachings, hoping that we would join the Supreme Sect. This is something that the people of the Supreme Sect often do. No matter which sect they go to, they will preach to that sect. Gu's eye snorted. How would I dare to join such a sect? Hong's eye shook his head. Gu's eye turned his gaze to Su Shintian and Shan Shueshue and said coldly, First, take the three of them down and strictly guard them. After we finish our discussion with the Supreme Sect, we will deal with them. Yes, sir. A few disciples nodded and then walked towards Su Shintian and Su Yun. However, just as they got closer, what greeted them was a chaotic and violent sword chi. The two disciples at the front were caught off guard and were directly struck to the ground by the sword chi. Su Yun's face was sinister. The devil chi around his body was leaking out. He held onto the death sword and lotus star, staring fiercely at Gu's eye and the others. When the second elder and the others saw this, they were stunned. Shun Shueshue was even more shocked. He anxiously pulled Su Yun and shouted, Yinner, what are you doing? Father, mother, don't worry. With your child here, nothing will happen to you. I will definitely save you and leave this heartless sect that only cares about protecting itself. Su Yun clenched his teeth. Yinner, Shan Shushue's tears fell like rain. Looking at the figure in front of her, for some reason, she started to cry. Seeing Su Yun standing alone in front of Su Shintian and Shan Shueshue, Gu's eye and the rest recovered from their shock. Hong's eye could not help but shake his head as he let out a mocking and helpless laugh. Young man, we admire your courage, but courage alone is not enough. You still need strength. You're just a fifth-stage sky spirit master cultivator. How can you contend against us? Hurry up and surrender. You're just wasting our time by doing this. Yinner, you go. Just then, Shan Shueshue stood up and pulled Su Yun behind her. She opened her arms and called out to Gu's eye, Hong's eye, and the others. Elders, today's matter is all my fault. Su Yun is not sensible and does not know how to clear the rules of the world. I hope that the elders can let him go. As long as everyone is willing to let him go, I, Shan Shueshue, am willing to obey any of your arrangements. Schwer. Su Shintian stood up with difficulty and called out in a low voice. Heaven, we owe Yinner too much. This time, we can't let him bear it anymore. Shan Shueshue turned his head and said with a choked voice. Su Shintian opened his mouth, but did not say anything. And at that moment, Su Yun was already filled with mixed feelings. His heart was extremely complicated. However, at this moment, how could he tolerate all of this happening? Father, mother, don't worry. I've said it before, I will definitely bring you away today. Su Yun said coldly, and then kept the lotus star sword, both of his hands holding onto the death sword tightly. His eyes were like an eagle staring at Gu's eye and the others. Elder Gu, if you are willing to let everyone die with us, then you can come. With so many people dying with me, Su Yun will not be lonely. As the sound of his voice faded, Gu's eye and the others revealed looks of doubt. I have seen many boastful people, but this is the first time I have seen someone as boastful as you. Young man, what ability do you have to contend against us? Hong's eye snorted, then waved his hand and bellowed, "Capture them." "Yes, sir." The surrounding people shouted in unison, and then rushed towards Su Yun. There were already people who had accumulated a dense, profound strength, planning to deal with the sword chi that Su Yun had released. With Su Yun's cultivation, they believed that they could defeat him the moment he made his move. But Su Yun did not release his own profound chi in all directions to resist the approaching people. Instead, he held onto the sword with one hand, while the other held onto the death sword's body. Bright red blood flowed out from his palm, dyeing the death sword red. A terrifying and indescribable fear rose up in everyone's heart in this second. Chapter 694. Gu's eyes seemed to have sensed something. His face suddenly turned snow white, and he hurriedly shouted, "Stop! All of you stop!" With that said, the people who were rushing towards Su Yun hurriedly stopped in their tracks. "Elder, what's wrong?" An elite turned his head and asked in confusion. "Everyone scatter, scatter!" Gu's eyes' expression kept changing as he anxiously shouted. His eyes revealed a strong sense of fear. Even Hong's eye, who was at the side, had an ugly expression on his face. He stared at Su Yun, and a hint of fear surfaced in his sunken eyes. The surrounding disciples and sect elites were confused when they saw the two elders behaving like this. Why did the two elders show such expressions without rhyme or reason? Was there something wrong? Elder Gu must have sensed the power sealed within my sword, right? Just then, Su Yun laughed coldly. "Since you have already sensed it, then I do not need to explain too much. I have come here prepared, and today, I have no other intentions. I just want to protect my father and mother's safety. I will not interfere in other matters. I hope that Elder Gu can allow my father and mother to leave." With that said, Su Yun stared at Gu's eye. "But they're all sinners. How can they just leave like that? If they leave, how are we going to explain this to the Supreme Sect? How do we explain this to the Supreme Sect?" Su Yun snorted. He stared at the people around him, his eyes revealing a trace of contempt and disdain. "Let me ask you, what is the reason for this? It's all because your father and mother bewitched the great clan elder and forced him to save their daughter, Su Luo." An elite interjected. "Is that so?" Su Yun stared at the elite and said coldly, "Then let me ask you, is the great clan elder the person who wants to be free?" "Of course." "Are my parents the ones who are cleared out?" "Of course." "My sister Su Luo, before she entered the Supreme Sect, she must have been cleared out as well, right?" "That's true." The elite hesitated for a moment. Hearing that, Su Yun laughed coldly. "What kind of sect is the Supreme Sect? I'm afraid everyone knows it better than me. And now, the people who have cleared out the sect are in a dangerous situation, and the people who have cleared out the sect are not thinking about saving the sect, but are instead thinking about how to persecute the people of the sect. Is this what it means to be cleared out?" "Brat, don't speak rudely," Hong's eye shouted. But Su Yun did not care. He pointed around and scolded. "My sister Su Luo. Now that she is in danger, shouldn't the sect provide convenience? It's fine if you don't save her, but Elder Zizai risked his life to help. But you guys are adding insult to injury, and instead want to hand Elder Zizai over to the Supreme Sect. Is this how you guys do when you're clearing out people? If my father and mother wanted to save my sister because of family ties, then what about Elder Zizai? Why did he do that? He did it for the sake of his fellow disciples. What did Elder Zizai do wrong? Aren't you afraid that this matter will spread to the myriad worlds and become the laughing stock of all living beings in the myriad worlds? Aren't you afraid of disappointing the hearts of all the people here? The angry roar spread in all directions. When some of the disciples heard this, their hearts suddenly beat faster. Su Yun was right. If he could not even protect the great clan elder of his own sect, how could he protect them in the future? Gu's eyes' expression kept changing, and he was momentarily speechless. Are you so cowardly to empty people? The people in his supreme sect are people, and the people you emptied out are not people. Why did they bewitch the people who were emptied out and the people who were emptied out had to compromise with them. Do you have no backbone at all? Suyin stared at the disciples around him and shouted angrily. As soon as he said this, all the disciples around him lowered their heads in shame. Hong Zizai also felt embarrassed, but as a person who had been cleared out, he knew better than any ordinary disciple that sometimes dignity did not represent everything. As the higher-ups, they had to consider the interests of the sect. He pursed his lips and said in a low voice, "Brat, no matter how you argue, this is not an excuse for you to take the two of them away. We can let you go, but the two of them must not leave." "Then you think I'll just leave like that?" Su Yun's eyes gradually turned blood red, and the devil chi around his body became more and more intense. "I, Su Yun, hereby swear that as long as you guys dare to touch a single hair on my parents' head, I will use the sword storm sealed in this orb by the sword ancestor to completely destroy all of you. Even if the jade and stone are destroyed together, I will not hesitate." He almost growled out, his deep roar spreading far and wide. Gu Zizai and the rest were all trembling with fear. They were all alarmed by Su Yun's madness. Su Shintian's face was sluggish. He looked at his son with a complicated gaze and a strange confusion. Shun Shushue's face was already full of tears. Looking at Su Yun in front of her, she could not stop her tears. All of this should not have been borne by Yuner. Heaven, we shouldn't have done this. Maybe we shouldn't have made that decision back then. Shun Shue covered her lips and cried. But now that things have come to this, we have nothing else to say. Su Shintian sighed, his expression helpless. They all knew that it was useless to try and persuade Su Yun again. At this moment, Gu Zizai was already speechless. His face alternated between red and white, and no one knew what he was thinking. Sword Ancestor, Sword Storm, did this power come from the limitless Sword Ancestor? Could it be that you are the successor of the limitless Sword Ancestor? Hong Zizai said in shock. Su Yun did not say anything. He stared coldly at the people around him, then turned his head and said to Su Shintian and Shan Shueshu, "Father, Mother, let's go first and clear out. Yinner, if you have anything to say, we can talk about it after we leave. Father, Mother, there's no more time. Let's go." "But your Grandmaster is still imprisoned. How can we abandon your Grandmaster and leave just like that?" In the end, Grandmaster cleared out the great clan elder, adding that he has already lost his memories. "I believe that clearing out the Supreme Sect will not do anything to him. At least his life will not be in danger. But you guys are different. We need to protect our lives first, and think of a way to save Grandmaster in the future." Su Yun said. Right now, he was truly powerless to save himself. Hearing that, Su Shintian and Shun Shueshua looked at each other, then turned and slowly retreated. Su Yun held onto the death sword and slowly retreated. The elites that rushed over wanted to stop Su Yun, but were anxiously shouted at by Hong Zizai. The higher-ups of the clearing could clearly feel that if they were forced into a corner, Su Yun would release the power inside the black sword, and half of the clearing would turn into ashes. The consequences would be unimaginable, and it was not worth it to clear half of the clearing for the sake of these few people. With something to rely on, Su Yun, Su Shantian, and Shun Shueshue retreated relatively easily, and no one dared to stop them. It was just that a sudden change occurred. Before he had even taken a few steps, circles of golden ripples suddenly appeared in the sky. These patterns pierced through the sky like a long golden river flowing in the sky. Several figures stepped on the golden river and quickly flew over. When they got closer, Su Yun felt his heart being suppressed, and his hands started to tremble uncontrollably. It was as if all the energy in the Qi meridian in his blood had been suppressed by the other party and could not be moved at all. Su Shintian looked up into the sky. His face immediately became serious and shouted in a low voice, "Yinner, be careful. The Venerable One is here." "Empty the Venerable One?" Su Yun was startled. Could it be the owner of the empty realm? However, just as he was thinking, the pressure became stronger and stronger. Su Yun felt as if his body was about to collapse. It was extremely uncomfortable. The people who had followed closely behind Su Yun and surrounded him all knelt down at this moment and shouted towards the people who had descended, "We pay our respects to the Venerable One. We pay our respects to the 5 saint techniques. We pay our respects to the Venerable One. We pay our respects to the 5 saint techniques. The people shouted piously, their voices extremely respectful. Even the second elder, Gu Zizai, and the third elder, Hong Zizai, were kneeling on the ground, their hands raised high in worship. "Mom, who are these people?" Su Yun held onto the death sword in his hand with all his might and asked softly. Clearing out the Venerable One is clearing out the sect leader and also the realm master of this realm. Shun Shueshua looked at the people who were gradually descending from the sky and said in a low voice, "And those 5 people are the direct disciples of the sect leader, and are also the 5 people who were cleared out along with the sect leader back then. Their positions are above your grandmasters, and their cultivations are also extremely powerful. All of them can be said to be great saints. These people are here. I'm afraid we won't be able to leave so easily today," Su Shintian said. As the sound of his voice faded, the 6 people in the air had already landed on the ground, standing in front of Gu Zizai and the others. In an instant, a golden light flashed. It was brilliant and dazzling. That strange light made it difficult for people to open their eyes. Su Yun's nerves tensed up, his gaze solemnly looking at the person who suddenly arrived. Su Shintian and Shun Shueshua looked at each other, then cupped their fists helplessly and said, "Sinner Su Shintian, Shun Shueshua, greets the Venerable One, greets the 5 saint techniques. All of you rise." The middle-aged man at the front slowly spoke. This person had a mustache and looked very upright. His hair was very long, reaching his waist, and his body was also very slender. Although he could not be considered handsome, he was still a very charming person. "Thank you, Venerable One." People stood up. Only then did Venerable Lord Emptiness turn around and look at Su Yun and the rest. "Venerable One, Su Shintian and Shun Shueshua are trying to escape. Their son has a powerful magic tool in his hands, so we do not dare to stop him." Gu Zizai cupped his fists and said, "You did the right thing." His eyes landed on the pitch-black death sword in Su Yun's hand, and said indifferently, "This is the protective power of the limitless sword ancestor, although I do not know why it was sealed in this sword. But once it is released, the empty world will definitely be destroyed." When Hong Zizai and the rest heard this, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. Venerable Lord Emptiness shifted his gaze to Su Yun's face and said indifferently, "Young child, I know the cause and effect of this matter. Then, why did you let my father and mother go?" Su Yun immediately asked. However, after a moment of silence, Venerable Lord Emptiness shook his head. He stared at Su Yun and said seriously, "People will die in battle. If for the sake of your parents, I would have emptied out and fought with the Supreme Sect, and caused even more people to die, how would I, the Venerable One, have the face to face the people who have emptied out?" You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.